Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to MNW Firing Line, your guide to Multiverse Nexus Wrestling. I'm your host, Jerry Aldini. With me this evening is, as we often have, Mr. Eric Genericson.
Good evening, folks!
And so Pete McPherson, my normal co-host, had something come up, something about something he had to go do, something he had to go find. So he bowed out, and turns out I am contractually obligated to have a specific co-host for this show. And the brass told me that I had to have somebody besides Eric.
What?
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome tonight's special co-host, Mr. Scott E. Stevens.
Good evening, Firing Line!
Now, gentlemen.
It's called a preamp. You should learn how to use it, Stevens.
I'm hoping we can keep a level. I know sometimes we get a little hot here, but this night I'm hoping, we can keep things calm.
There isn't a preamp in existence that can contain me!
And with that stated, gentlemen, we normally, we do a little preamble. We check in how everyone's doing. So really quick, how's everyone doing tonight? Fantastic. All right. With that, then, we have a lot to go over tonight. So last week in MNW was historic, is I think the right word, because for the first time ever, we truly are having interaction between the two brands, between Warzone and Flashbang. And so with the onset of faction warfare, we enter a new world, and but first we have to cover, before we get into faction warfare proper, we have to cover the night before, that of course being last week's Firing Line. And the night kicked off with some revelations, courtesy of the Omni Geek.
You see, these people are not real. They're an illusion. Holographic images. And this simply proves my point, that it has become much too easy to manipulate the circumstances here on Flashbang. But I have gotten to the bottom of one of our many mysteries. You see, we have been trying to figure out for months who stole the mask of DeLuna, and I have made an interesting discovery thanks to a little bit of a tip. And I've since spoken with DeLuna, so he is already abreast of the situation, as is his friend, the Bulldog Grant Martin. You see, as it turns out, the person who stole Shere Khan's mask was hired to do so. That was not what confused me or what intrigued me. What intrigued me is that same person was also hired to run down Punk Master Ghost in cold blood. And now I have the evidence to prove it. And you might ask yourself, who would have the capabilities to pull that off? Is there going to be a match here tonight? Will we get some measure of revenge? And believe me, I requested it. I wanted them in this ring, but you see, that's where the kicker is. They're not allowed to fight in this ring. So, I will take the fight to them.
And there you have it. So the Omni Geek has identified two pieces of information: the parties who attacked Punk Master Ghost and who stole the mask of La Luna El Chavo. But the revelation that it is somebody not allowed to wrestle on Flashbang.
Which would imply Warzone, because of course they are.
Well, and it would imply, I'm reluctant to say it outright, but there is one specific group who is specifically banned from Flashbang.
Boy, I hope not.
And, I'm not going to speculate until the geek gives us the full rundown. But I'm sure a lot of people out there, especially people who've been following Flashbang for a long time, probably have a good idea who he was inferring. And so with that, gentlemen, any comments on the Geeks Revelations?
I mean, I'm just glad that we have a detective that actually knows what they're doing on Flashbang.
I'm inclined to agree. Also, I'm curious as to the use of some vernacular by the Omni Geek. Does the Punkmaster Ghost have any blood at all, cold or otherwise?
You know what? I am not qualified.
Boy, Scotty Stevens out here asking the real questions, ladies and gentlemen. This is journalism.
I just was going to say,
I don't the most investigative variety.
I am not qualified to speak to the physiology of ectoplasmic beings. For that, you would probably have to refer to APS or perhaps...
Why don't you ask the bad CG Ghost? Oh, wait, he hates your guts, and rightfully so.
Oh, here we go. You know what? While you two are...
What did Jerry ever do to him?
You know what? The next thing, as we were getting ready for the next match, before that could happen, a scene we had seen before played itself out again when Kevin Blackwell attacked Drathulu before a match. This is becoming a... I guess this is how Kevin likes to flex on people now?
Jump them? Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, and with Drathula, I mean, we understand with Drathula, he had that incident where he inserted himself into one of Drathulu's matches, ostensibly to help. And then, of course, last week had a match with Drew's mother, Moira Draco, which he won. But apparently, once he's got a grudge, he takes it all the way. So that's this. I'll give Drew credit. He's holding his own.
I mean, yeah, but still, the fact that this even happened is disgusting.
I don't find it to be one bit of a surprise, as we've firmly established that Kevin Blackwell is completely without honor or decency and doesn't have the je ne sais quoi to actually take care of his problems properly in the ring, like one should do as a member of a wrestling organization.
I mean, he is one of the most dominant members of the roster, so I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but sure.
He's the biggest bully, that's for sure, and you know, I know a thing or two about bullies.
But he's a bully that can back it up.
That's fine. That is not worthy of praise.
I mean, I'm still going to praise the man's skill. The guy is still very good between the ropes.
And thank you to Doppelganger for gifting a Tier 1 sub to Storytellers Apprentice.
I think even Mr. Rabbit would have something to say about Blackwell's ability in between.
You know
the
what?
ropes.
You don't even
Sans baseball bat.
Don't say his
please
name.
get off your high horse.
Don't
Can we
say
not
his
even get
name.
through one segment without you antagonizing me?
You don't deserve to say his name.
Okay, gentlemen, please. It's going to be a long night. So let's just a little try, please. I miss Pete already. All right. Now, as we've stated, we are heading into, with this show, faction warfare. And Warzone had already picked their faction members. But Flashbang still needed to make some decisions that were decided through a series of tornado tag matches featuring some of the top factions on the roster. The first of those featured the Guild coming out with coming out with some of their wares against Fabulous. And this was a fascinating one to look, especially as the crowd was getting into it behind the scenes, because it has been well established at this point that Fabulous is a faction you do not take lightly, especially with the amazing performances from Fuck Him Wang. On the other hand,
we also saw Sugarfoot Iron and Calman take it to the Bone Warriors in their tag title match. Like they've proven that they are a good group.
But you also have a lot of favor from the fans to the Guild, particularly a lot of people wanted to see the Guild win just so Lasume would get a chance to enter that faction warfare match and maybe, just maybe, get an opportunity to get his hands on Malice.
Best of 7, baby!
And so with that, everyone was, this is one that had people, it's really a great way to start off the shows when you have people on pins and needles, because it's, who do you root for? Both teams have good arguments for going. Both teams are riding some level of popularity, but in the end, a lot of people were hoping for the Guild, because everyone remembers, like as you said, best of 7, that uncompleted series of matches between Lasume and Malice, cut short when Malice was pulled up to Warzone.
You were about to say deported, didn't you?
Or ported maybe. I do feel that Zaco Duo did something.
I'm just saying, that's messed up that you would say that. Just because he speaks Spanish doesn't mean that they would do that to him.
He speaks Spanish?
Where have you been?
In my palatial estate.
So, as this match went on, one thing a lot of people started commenting on was also, there's been a lot of eyes on the Curator of late. Another member of the roster who we don't get to see as much as some people would like, but who has shown great performance in the past.
And also, people forget that when there was that Creation Gauntlet match, Curator was one of the guys that lasted the longest in that match. He's shown himself to be quite the competitor.
Yeah.
And there you see it. His signature maneuver. That twisting moonsault off the top rope. And fucking went just a little bit too slow to break that up. And it's actually Curator that secures their spot in the faction warfare match.
Thus, proving the fans were right to be behind him and giving the crowd what they wanted. That Lasume gets to go up, maybe have that confrontation, and the Guild gets to go to Warzone and represent Flashbang. Now, the next, right now, gentlemen, can we agree that the Brawl Kaiser has managed to win over the hearts of the multiverse?
Yes.
Absolutely.
But one of the things is, while he has done so by being such an endearing individual, nobody has been harder on Brawl Kaiser's record than Brawl Kaiser himself. To the point of, he does seem to have a bit of paranoia about being on the schneid. So let's go to some footage from last week and see how the Tokuhiro went about trying to alleviate that stress.
Look, I'm saying I don't know what a schneid is. Like I don't even know. Well, you see, a schneid is one of the hardest and most difficult matches in Flashbang history. Right, but everybody who goes in it, if you don't win that match, you fall. Look at Donkey King. He's never won that match, and he's never won ever. Look, I've got a better idea. I've got an idea. Just let me do a showcase. Fine, but you better not lose.
And with that, we go to a showcase match with Brawl Kaiser being told by
Talk about how quickly he changed outfits.
I have to assume there was a henshin involved.
Probably.
Then joining him, Alexis Edmonton, the bad CG ghost, Jack the questionable.
Boo.
Perfect timing.
Cool J Kyo.
Another person looking for their first win in MNW. Oh, look!
Yeah, Seth Jackson, representing APS, and the Cyber Controller.
Boo.
And one of the reasons why Seth Jackson coming out was interesting, as we see the Grim Reaper being number 8 representing the Empire of Terror. Seth Jackson coming out means APS for sure was not going to be in this trios tournament. Yeah. Or I guess qualifying rounds.
That's true. I would have to assume, I don't know, maybe their contract with the Brass made it complicated.
I would think so. When you're employed by the person who's basically running this whole event, you're supposed to stay neutral. And I think they understand that. I don't think they're here to work on titles. They're here to kind of keep the peace. And honestly, with their history with Meme, I think they probably are a little frustrated that they don't get a chance to get their hands on Meme.
I could see that being fair. Let's be honest, they have as much gripe with Meme as Doom does. And Cool J Kyo being the first eliminated from this match. This being in the first 5 minutes of the match, a lot happened. Everyone in this match, even though it's a standard showcase match, a lot of people these days recognize how important a good showing in a showcase match can be.
It is, and you see the Reaper right here with that tombstone on the outside. Thanks for playing, controller.
And there goes the cyber controller. Yeah, especially the Reaper, who himself was in a recent Get Off the Schneid match, which he did not win. And the next matchup we see, you have Jack the Questionable in the ring taking on Seth Jackson, while Alexis Edmonton and Brawl Kaiser, brawl outside. And Jack the Questionable pinning Mr. Justice Pending Jackson.
Seth Jackson has been eliminated.
And it was interesting because as we went along in this match, everybody got at least one elimination as we got down to the final four.
Mm-hmm.
Look at them just playing rock'em sock'em robots with his
as Kaiser, Reaper, and Questionable battle outside the ring, Alexis Edmondson gets
Phantom Factory.
Thank you. Phantom Factory by the bad CG Ghost. CG, who's definitely still has to be thinking about his partner PM Ghost, especially with the Omni Geeks revelations.
Yeah, that the person who ran over PM Ghost is in fact the same person that stole the Mask of DeLuna, which makes you wonder who's going to go after this person first.
That's a good question. Spectre Sonata and DeLuna and Bulldog all have, I would say, equal claim at this stage.
You would think CG Ghost and TK would be very frustrated with whoever that person is. As we see Ghost, that must have been weighing heavily on his mind because he made the top four, but that was it.
Yeah. And this is, I want to say at this point, the second elimination by Jack the Questionable.
Yep. And something you'll notice about, and I know you probably don't have time to show all of the footage, but I noticed this when I was calling the match, that it seemed like Reaper and Questionable were very content to work together to make sure they were not the ones that Brawl Kaiser broke his streak against.
That was no surprise. Again, when you have to edit these down, you have to focus on major events like the eliminations, such as Reaper being the one to eliminate Brawl Kaiser.
And you can look at the pinfall that he used. He didn't go for his trademark, rest in peace kind of a thing. He made sure that he did a traditional cover to make sure that there was no kick out. Neither of these men, Questionable or Reaper, wanted to be the reason why Brawl Kaiser broke his losing streak. It's a matter of pride, and now you see Questionable trying to make a name for himself because he hasn't been hired recently, so this was a good opportunity to, no pun intended, showcase what he can do. And there you see on the outside the Reaper falling prey to the payday, and it was indeed enough.
Yeah. So Reaper's losing streak continues. Jack the Questionable, which, looking at the records, this is Jack the Questionable's first showcase win.
Yeah.
So he's, like you said, he's always had a decent profile, but after recent events, he did, especially the issues that Kevin Blackwell isn't. I don't think he's paying him anymore.
No, they seem to have gone their separate ways.
I mean, he's still wearing that replica of Shere Khan's mask, but at this point, it just feels like grandstanding.
Maybe he should consider dropping that ridiculous gimmick, and maybe then he'll get some work again. Because it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that while he continues to, I don't even know, for whose benefit besides his own is he doing it? And I can't speak for everybody, but I have to be sure that having him parading around and with not even the real mask of Shere Khan just puts a taste in everybody's mouth.
That's why he does it, to get a reaction.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, he knows he's going to be hired to take on somebody on the roster. And if he's got everyone on edge. Sure, maybe that benefits him. Speaking of his former employer, well, here we are again.
You could feel it coming, couldn't you?
You really could. Well, also because he took on Drew, and it's not like Blackwell to leave someone unscathed. So going after Cthulhu, sure, it makes perfect sense that he's going to follow up by going after Bareback. And at this point, it's a message to all of Dungeons and Destiny, to Moira, to the boys, probably even to Rapture New Road, if we want to take it far enough.
Well, I have it on good authority that Rapture New Road was watching this, and he was not happy about it.
And
okay, so he's sending a message. What is that message? I could beat you up.
I mean, I think this is both a message to D&D and to the Bone Warriors. He didn't like that Moira came out and challenged him. The Bone Warriors just finished a very intense title defense against D&D. And now, not only has he taken out Mama Draco, which is a mistake, because that's going to come back to bite you, but now he's just beating up the former competitors of the Bone Warriors, probably trying to send a message to Burden and Spike. The problem is, Burden and Spike have been laser-focused on defending those tag titles, and I don't really think they're paying attention to Kevin Blackwell anymore, unless he gives them a reason to.
Precisely.
That's just not the way they operate.
Sometimes I get the feeling that, he has his messages, but his long-term planning maybe isn't the best. I mean, because if it was, he'd be a champion by now. I say, as I know people have barged into this production office before.
Yep.
But
no doubt we'll do so again.
Yeah, well.
I absolutely agree that if he really put his mind to it, Blackwell could be a champion in this company. But as long as he continues to behave like a petulant child who's not getting his way and is just lashing out to get attention, it's weird that while he's so effective in the ring and and to some people, a dominant figure, he is. He pretty much completely offsets that with his attitude and his behavior. Blackwell, this is not what you do to get opportunities. This is what you do to get on the brass's shit list. And if you ever want to be booked in such a way that you get into title contention, which if you're not, why are you even here? Then you need to play ball, my dude.
And with that, it's time for the next qualifying match for Faction Warfare, featuring House Caliban coming out. The first time we've seen them as a group since the Breakdown 5. But their opponents are AAA with a new member. Because beep beep, it's a sheep. It's sheepy. This becomes an interesting matchup. If you're House Caliban, you probably were expecting someone like Demolition Fox or maybe Slamphibian. But Sheepy is somebody who's shown that they are actually one of the strongest members of the roster.
I mean, they were in that Elimination Chamber match with Nero.
So that's a huge win for AAA, especially because somebody who fits their theming, but B really hates Apex.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think I pointed it out on commentary. Creation and Sheepy both with access to grind against the two major factions in Flashbang. I mean, it was the Creation's brain that was taken out of his head, and that's the way he was manipulated. Sheepy was some kind of hypnosis or mark. We don't really fully understand what happened to Sheepy, but definitely in better company now.
Yeah. And another thing, we talked, there are some powerful submission users in this match. Right here, we see the Creation putting El Toro Azul up in the Wheel of Pain, but it looks like Sheepy broke that up.
Sheepy was able to pull him down, yeah.
And a little later in the match, El Pollo gets Thunderbolt in the crossface chicken wing, and the Creation, he breaks it up by knocking out the ref.
Which honestly was a good call if you watch what Sheepy eventually does to Thunderbolt. Sheepy's going to try to hug it out, but there's no referee to count that 3.
Yeah, so, I mean, strategically, yeah, it worked out. I guess it's one of those in-the-moment decisions that happens. And then, of course, you see Sandman with Sheepy in the pin position while the 2 strong submission users, the Creation and El Pollo, battle it out outside the ring.
But there is one other submission user, and his name is Thunderbolt, and you're going to see in a little while why that is. But yeah, it was interesting that Creation was the one that had to take care of El Pollo. Sandman basically threw his body at Sheepy, which good on him. And now you see your money or your life with nowhere to go for Otoro, and Sheepy sees it at the last second, but by the time he's in the ring, I mean, Thunderbolt was in there for a reason.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting for House Caliban because everyone focuses on the devastation of the Wheel of Pain. And yet, I would say your money or your life is as effective a submission move.
Yeah.
So at this point, I suppose if you find yourself in a match against House Caliban, your first thing is, can we make this a no submission match?
And don't forget that Sandman has the time loop. Like, he has that figure 8 submission maneuver. Like, all of them are adept to some level at submissions.
So this leads me to wondering something. It's just pure speculation. But we know that they're at least working adjacent with Dragoon. And we also know that a recent official addition to House Caliban is Donkey Kong.
It is.
And it just makes me wonder if, because we haven't seen Donkey Kong since that Survivor Series match.
Correct.
Makes me wonder what's happening behind the scenes.
I mean, my guess would be maybe training.
That's what I'd be thinking. And, if you've got, 3 top tier talents and submission users in your stable, and we know for a fact that Dr. Caliban has an entire training and ring setup in the manor. Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what.
I don't know if I'd call them all top tier submission users, but
okay.
I think you're stretching it just a little bit. Like,
yeah,
they all have them in their arsenal, but
I mean, Creation is absolutely a top tier submission user, as is Thunderbolt. Sandman would be the only one you could really argue with.
And actually, funny you should mention that. On social media, Sandman tweets out, they focus more on the Wheel of Pain because A, it's the Creation who at one point terrorized the roster when under the Empire's control, and B, the Wheel of Pain has won more matches than your money or your life. Sad but true. Okay, so Sandman basically giving Creation his props. But so what are you saying, Scott? I mean, once you're done with Apex, you are planning on challenging the Creation?
Oh heavens no!
I'll pay to call it.
Yeah, I bet you would. No, I'm by no means issuing any challenges to anybody for anything. And all I'm saying is that that I wouldn't say that they're all experts. That's all I'm saying. And of course the Wheel of Pain gets more attention because the Creation is a monster. The Creation has been the center of attention for ages now, and when he comes to the ring, pretty much everything stops immediately and all eyes turn to him, whereas Sandman and Thunderbolt are, relatively speaking, go kind of under the radar. It's not a knock at them. I mean, if I want to take shots at them, I can, but I'm just
actually Scott, I think you're going to be more interested in the next match. Just because it's relevant to some of your interests.
Oh.
And so recently, ever since Blight Howlis was poisoned, and we know there's still a lot of consternation at that. Accusations against the Omni Slayers, questions on who did it, what have you. Seems like there's been some growing issues, or something happened behind the scenes, or perhaps in the dirt sheets between Blight Howlis and Simon the Psycho of the Empire of Terror. One has to wonder, because both of them were early members of the roster. back in the day when the joke early on Flashbang was, it seems like half the roster are some kind of hunter. And, well, it ended up with the two of them facing each other, but certainly not coming alone. Blight being joined at ringside by Crimson Phoenix and Mizuki Napier, and Simon being joined by Dark Lord Popo, and I'm sorry, I forgot who the third person was.
The Grim Reaper, I believe.
Grim Reaper, who, yeah, after having the night he had. But, and we've stated before, Blight Howlis, his lycanthropy might be not at full strength. Doesn't seem to have affected him as a wrestler.
I absolutely agree. If anything, he's been working harder to prove that he hasn't missed a beat in the ring. And based on my own personal experience, I can tell you that it's working.
All right. I mean, fair enough. I mean, if you're going to point out something positive from a member of Apex, that's definitely saying something. So, Eric, you probably have insight on this. What is the real instigation between the problems between what started Blight and Simon off?
I mean, Blight called him out. I wish there was more to it, but like I was confused because my impression was that Apex and the Empire have kind of this, if nothing else, uneasy alliance, because Earl King kind of represents Nero in all of his legal matters, and they've kind of stayed out of each other's way, and that's kind of allowed them to do what they want to do. But I mean, this is their underlings going at it. This is like Earl King's protege and Nero's right-hand man basically brawling with each other, and I don't know if they sanctioned it. I don't really know if they signed off on it. It's that would be a question for Nero, as you know, poor Simon gets. But we did see a lot of interference. We saw the Reaper, we saw Mizuki. I mean, the Empire and Apex are not above breaking the rules for any reason. But yeah, to my knowledge, the only thing that they wanted to do was to fight. The Hunter wanted the Predator.
And that last part, that may be as simple as it could be. As we said, both, there's a reason that Nero Napier, his first recruit, was Blight House, literally night one of Flashbang. And, Simon comes in, and of course, he is, as he refers to Earl King as his hunt master. So it could just be, who's the better person to run down the prey. But to the point that Scott made earlier, it does seem that Blight, because he's not as lycanthropic as before, is determined to show that he is still as good a wrestler as ever. And
I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but just in case I haven't, I will say it again. Believe it or not, and I don't know why this is so shocking to everybody whenever they hear something to this effect, I actually have quite a bit of respect for Blight Howlis, and that respect has actually grown over the past few weeks, because not only did he challenge me shortly after, being inflicted with this lycanthropy, I don't want to say negating, because it clearly hasn't been negating, but compromising attack, and he put up as good a fight as he did the first time we met, and he has been continuing to bring the fight to every person that is standing across the ring from him, and has not let his current condition make him lose a single step, and frankly, I think that's commendable.
All right. Well, interesting as we have Scott giving his kudos to Blight Howlis, maybe for some insight on the line right now. We have the woman who is at Blight's ringside during that herself, Mizuki Napier. Or maybe we. Hey, are you there? Maybe our phone connection isn't as good as we thought. Actually, let me check. Scott, Eric, are your mics still working? I think. Just a second, folks. Hang on. We may be having some technical difficulties. Give me a moment. Hang on just a second. Everyone, can you hear me?
Hello
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you hit the wrong button on your board.
I think I did. Okay, so we got it working again. All of your mics are active again. Mizuki Napier, welcome to the show.
Well, hey there, gentlemen. How are y'all tonight?
We're well. So, Mizuki, do you have any insight on what set off the calling out between Blight and Simon?
Oh, just with a few interactions they had with each other, they saw it fit to have a playful rivalry between the two. That's all.
All right, fair enough. Well, then, with that, so you're saying there's no long-term issues in the relationship between Apex and the Empire?
Other than, Earl being a part of us in some form, no, not really.
All right, well, there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Mizuki, anything else you wanted to say to the audience tonight?
Yes, actually. I wanted to let everybody know that my boys have their role and I have mine. Y'all have a good night now.
That sounds so ominous.
I was like, okay, it was going great, and then that. Also,
Okay.
tweeting out on social media, Kath Gina is tweeting out, I'm getting sick of people attacking my race. Next person to insult us is going to wish they hadn't.
Wait, who insulted the Fae?
That's what I must have been something going on. This could be something we missed on social media.
Oh boy.
So yeah, okay. That's it's always something.
I mean, to be fair, Earl King doesn't represent all Fae.
No, that's true. I don't even think he and Kath Gina are from the same court. Maybe I don't know. I'll be honest. I try and stay as far away from Fae business as I possibly can.
Agreed.
So yeah, just with that. Anyway, with that, so we are at a point in the evening that is a one of our favorite segments on the show, and that is the audio promo of the week. The community in MNW all are great competitors in the ring. And every once in a while, they will go behind the scenes to make a promo and let people know what's going on, or speak to their competitors to the multiverse. And this week, the audio promo of the week is the cult classic, Henry Colt.
Y'all, I have the utmost respect for the sheer quality of wrestling they got on Warzone. They got top tier talent, and they put on a hell of a show every, Saturdays now? Hell, once upon a time, I even entered into a tournament trying to earn a call-up. But that was a long time ago. I might not have gotten called up, but what I did do, along with every other member of this roster, was to push Flashbang to become what it is today. We're our own damn main show. And I think that threatens some of them. You can hear them barking at us, warning us not to step to them. Cultists, these Warzone bozos think they can intimidate us. They think they can walk all over us. Well, we have enough problems without dealing with these insecure, former top talents. But that's not going to stop me from giving them a Texas-sized boot in their ass if they don't start speaking with a bit more damn respect.
And there you heard it from the cult classic. And hey, one good promo deserves another. As we go down to the ring, to hear from the interdimensional champion, Wiley.
I have spent an entire week mulling over a threat that might not exist. You see, that's the problem with Earl King. He says he does not lie, but he will twist the truth any way that he can. So maybe he does have a threat that we've never seen before, but how grave is that threat that I should give you a title shot for it? These are the things I have had to mull over. But alas, I have never thought you to be the smartest man in the room. So I have to take your threat seriously, don't I? If I am to deny you a title shot, not only will I deal with the repercussions as interdimensional champion, so too will all of Flashbang and all of the multiverse, which may even include Warzone, unless you're going to give benevolence to your Nakama. You do still love him, don't you, Earl King? So I have made my decision. I will grant you your title shot, only on the condition that whatever it is you have up your sleeve never, and I mean never, comes to fruition. Not that plan or any plan. And believe me, Earl King, if you lie to me, if you try to trick me, I will find you, and I will end you. But you will not have the glory of fighting for this championship at Breakdown 6, oh no. Your title match will be next week, because you do not deserve the grand stage of a pay-per-view. I will put to rest your challenge, and I will find a new #1 contender for Breakdown 6.
There you have it. Tomorrow night on Flashbang, Wiley will defend the Interdimensional Championship against Earl King Wes. And, well, later in the evening, the King of Kings came out to respond to the Dragonborn.
Because now I have the opportunity to become the first double champion in the history of MNW, because tonight, the Empire is in the Trios tournament. This faction warfare, and I will be leading my troops into battle. So, Wiley, thank you for giving me exactly what I wanted. Because from this moment on... Oh, well, hang on a second. One of the last standing members of Fate. Here comes the Cult Classic. So now, hang on a second there. Let me make sure that I understand what you're saying. You're saying that you will be competing here tonight and leading your troops into battle, which means you're going to be on the Trios team that competes here tonight. Is that? I just want to make sure that I'm not misquoting you before I go ahead with what I'm going to say. I want to make sure that you can amend that statement, you know, if you want to, Faye King. Amend that statement. All right, let's cut to the chase, Henry. Yes, I'm going to compete in that match, and no, Fate is not going to be in that match with me, all right? Before you throw out some wild thing like, oh, you'll put your career on the line, or you'll put somebody else's mother's house up for sale, or whatever stipulation, I'm not buying it. I went and talked to the lawyer to make sure I understood the terms of the agreement. If I'm not mistaken, Helix beat the Cleaver on Warzone, didn't he? Wasn't that the last guy he had to beat? No, and this is the road we're going down. No, that wasn't the last person that he had to beat. First of all, he should have never gotten a rematch with the Cleaver. That was Trashman Jones's fault. So like always, he's ruining my plans. But alas, no, he hasn't beaten Tigery, the newest member of the Empire. Nah, Earl King, I checked with the lawyer. Tigery ain't in the Empire. And you know, it's funny, because after Helix found out he was going to fight you tonight, he asked Ramoon if he could help out. And Ramoon kept twitching and talking about how he wanted to put you in the ground, and his hand kept cramping up, and I don't know what, but it was like these 4 fingers that he just couldn't ball into a fist. They just kept, you know, showing up.
And there you have it. So, yeah, Earl King West saying Wiley played himself, but maybe West did the same. But
only time will tell, but oh boy, you done played yourself, maybe.
Yeah. Meanwhile, speaking of faction warfare, the next qualifying match featured the cartel with being specifically the members of Mad World and the leader of the cartel, Victor Vicious, going up against
combination.
Yeah, going up against Vaporwave.
Well, to use a baseball analogy, sometimes you just go with the hot hand. You've got somebody who you don't normally use playing second base, but they've had a hot hand the last couple of games. You leave them in there for a little while. You see what they can do. And I think that's the case with the Mad World. They've been on a roll recently, and so I think Vicious is probably saying, I'm going with the hot hand.
That's true. I mean, they had a great showing, as you said, a lot lately. They did a spectacular job during the Survivor Series match. Many of their matches
beat Electro Reality a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so sure, no, that makes perfect sense. And Victor himself, he's been doing pretty well ever since his get off the schneid match.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm not quite sure why Brawl is afraid of it, because it's worked out really well. I mean, DeLuna was in the very first one, I believe, with Artemis, and look where those two are.
I almost feel it's a case of it's so gotten into his head. It's working him up, and if I have a feeling that once he gets through it, he'd be fine. Of course, no one's saying for sure he's going to be in one.
Well, I don't know. After last week, the lawyer was very insistent that he not lose, and he did.
Yeah, but
so we'll see.
But when it comes to Mr. Lawson, I mean, he just said don't lose. He didn't say it would be a get off the schneid match. And I'll say this: Lawson has proven, if nothing else, he can actually get creative sometimes.
Speaking of creative, did you know that this was the first time that Vaporwave had ever competed as an official trio?
Oh, really?
To my knowledge, this was their very first trios match. Now, they've been in tag matches with one of them in ringside. They've been in singles matches where they've all accompanied each other out, but their first ever trios match was actually this qualifying match.
Well, and so that's really interesting because at this point, all these members of the cartel have worked together in the ring as a team. But what you're saying is this is the first time all three members of Vaporwave have had to do the same thing.
Exactly.
And, Vaporwave hasn't always had the smoothest path as a group.
But on this particular night, thanks to those backbreakers from Apollo Hades, they qualified and they beat the cartel for what I would say is probably the upset of all of the matches we saw on this evening.
I would say so. I mean, they've been doing, Rico recently won his second showcase match.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of Vaporwave, sure, Apollo has been hyping the team up, and looks like all that hype paid off.
I wouldn't say that it was an upset. You're not giving Vaporwave enough credit, which is
I don't think you're giving the cartel enough credit.
Yeah, I give the cartel all the credit in the world, but that doesn't mean that it gives you any right to shorthand Vaporwave. I mean,
we're talking about a team that was just in a Survivor Series match with House Caliban, which is a very established organization with one of the best tag teams within it. They won that match. Before that, Victor Vicious wins his get off the schneid match. Since then, Mad World has been on a roll, beating Electro Reality. As a unit, the cartel was a heavy favorite to qualify, much like House Caliban did. And the fact that they did not, in my book, qualifies as an upset, especially considering they did it against a team that had never competed as a trio. That's not to take anything away from Vaporwave. In fact, it's a compliment to Vaporwave. They weren't supposed to win that match, and on any given Friday, somebody can pull an upset, and they did.
Well, I agree with you halfway there, at least. On any given Friday, yeah, any team could win. But that doesn't mean that that Vaporwave are, automatically the underdogs just because they haven't been around as long or they haven't worked together as a unit before this. Vaporwave have, individually or collectively, have been on a tear the last few months. Rico Rose just won a match on his own. Apollo Hades has been on fire lately in the ring and outside. And I'm just saying, don't sell them short. Vaporwave, you guys got what it takes. You're gonna go far, and a huge victory. But don't let anyone downplay your accomplishments. All right, that's all I'm saying. they know what I mean, and that's what
This
matters.
is what I mean about it. This is why you can't have him on the show. He just tries to spin everything. It's ridiculous.
That's the most aggressive compliment I've ever heard. I'm just, we're almost there. We are actually at the Friday Night Flashbang main event. And this one, we heard what Henry Colt said. We heard who the opponents were going to be, but let's go see how it all played out. So coming out for the Empire of Terror is the Abyssal Void, of course, accompanied by the leader of the Empire, Earl King Wes. And as Henry said, Ramoon. But joining him, Helix Sucks and Citric King.
Citric Cane.
Citric Cane, yes. But
Beat me to it.
still, the reunion of Death Juice.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Henry made it sound like it was going to be maybe Pestilence or Grizzly. Nope. It's Citric Cane.
And yeah, a look we've never seen on the Juicy one, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Mr. Money in the Bank. Like, that's a hell of a get for Ramoon and Helix.
And we did see that in his final days on Warzone as Citric King's partner, that Death Juice was a effective tag team.
And he nearly juiced Earl King right there. So, and there's this is what I don't like about Earl King is he just decides, well, I'm just going to use Ramoon's move now for the punchline. I don't understand why he has to be so disrespectful. It annoys me.
That's why he does it.
Yeah.
To annoy people, to play mind games, to what someone calls psychological warfare. It's a load of hooey, if you ask me.
On the other hand, this is the moment everyone's been waiting for.
It is, and right here, Helix getting his hands on Earl King. There's Death's Door. Kind of surprised that didn't keep him down, especially considering, and probably because the Cleaver was able to break it up.
I'll say this: the Cleaver, his ring awareness. I don't think, because in his normal matches you don't get to see how prominent it is, because he's usually just beating people up. But yeah, he has proven to be an effective tag partner.
I mean, Cleaver is a great person to have, especially in multi-man matches like this, where you don't have to be tagged in or out because Cleaver's got eyes for days or whatever.
I mean,
again, trying to juice Citric, which again using Citric's move now instead of Ramoon's, that camel clutch. But this was an interesting sequence of events. I thought Lord V had just put down Helix with that sit-out tombstone. And Helix was able to kick out, but if you watch, here's Earl King spearing with Hearn's charge, Citric Cane. And isn't it poetic? And watch Helix. I didn't call this out on the broadcast, but look at him crawl to try to break this up, and he's just a fingertip away.
So, you talked earlier how Vaporwave was the upset win for the match. I would say everyone was expecting Helix, Ramoon, and Citric Cane to win that match, and for Earl King to get his comeuppance. And instead, Empire wins and goes to Warzone. And is that the first time that Earl King West will be returning to Warzone since he left?
Since the draft, since the initial draft that sent all the Warzone people to Flashbang.
Well, that's there you have it. So that is Friday Night Flashbang, and there are your teams that are going to be going over to Warzone. Just so we'll of course be seeing that later in the program, but again, it's the Guild, House Caliban, Vaporwave, and the Empire of Terror, with of course Doom having already pre-qualified due to the events that kicked off everything in the first place.
Yeah, which I think that was probably the wisest decision, is just there were certain teams that just needed to be in, let them be in, and just get out of the way.
Yeah.
Well, of course, since Doom has a vested interest in, they're kind of part of the events that led into this event happening. So it makes perfect sense to just, give them a pass.
Well, with that, it is time for the Flashbang Moment of the Week. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Firing Line tonight is brought to you by Albuquerque.
Hey, you sitting there naked eating your taters in front of that there computer screen. Do you like wrestling? Does you support the modern dance of twerking? Well then, come on down to the rootinest, tootinest, cut shootinest county this side of the Devon Mountains, Albuquerque. We is the hosts of everything hip and cool with them kids, or as the kids like them say, we's like to dab on them haters. We is also the home of the genuine Multiverse Wrestling People's Convention each year. Don't ask about the flying service, even we don't know when you's gonna be leaving. So come on down to Albuquerque this year, and remember, you never take a wrong left turn coming to Albuquerque. Yeehaw!
Oh, that was... Turn the lights on, there's fire! And introducing his tag team partners! Well, who's it gonna be? Who's with Helix? And a combined weight of 510 pounds, the team of Helix Sucks and Citric Kane Death Shoes! That's gotta be Kane! Oh my god, it's Citric Kane! Oh my gosh! Death Juice is on Flashbang! Apex went to Warzone, and we got the juicy one! Earl King is beside himself. He thought it was going to be the new Four Horsemen. Look at Ramon is laughing. And look at Citric. Citric Kane is here.
And there you have it, your Flashbang Moment of the Week. Citric King.
So sure, that moment was really cool and all, you know, nice little nostalgia trip. But at the end of the day, pretty sure it was Citric Kane who ended up costing his team the victory. So maybe it wasn't such a good idea for Helix Sucks and Ramon to bring in someone from Warzone to help them in their qualifying match. Maybe
really?
They should have.
So you're telling me if
elsewhere.
you had Mr. Money in the Bank and a former 6-time tag team champion walk up to you and say, "Hey, I want to help you in this tag match," you'd say no? What are you, crazy?
I'm just saying that if I'm Citric King and someone from the other show comes and asks, "Hey, can you help me?" So help me, Helix Sucks, qualify for this interpromotional match. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It was a perfect opportunity for Citric to sabotage the faction warfare match to keep Helix Sucks out of it because he knows what a dominant force Helix Sucks would have been. I'm just saying it's a possibility that really shouldn't be ignored. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
I just like to point out we're taking tag team advice from Mr. I don't do tag matches, so I'm just going to leave it there.
With that, actually, I'm going to take this moment and I'm going to step above game for a second. So I've just
how's the weather up there?
This is usually one of where we have a lot of high point of our audience. I just want to let everyone know that, especially because we're doing really good on time tonight. After we're done with the coverage, we're going to go a little bit behind the scenes on faction warfare. So if you want to hear what went into making that event happen, hang out till the end of the show, and we'll have some info for you. And with that, back in game. Well, now it's time for the call-out. And this week, Joe Mojo sits down with a person we haven't heard a lot from. So, ladies and gentlemen, the call-out with Joe Mojo interviewing Bart Ender.
Thank you, Firing Line, and welcome back to the Callout. My name is Joe. My next guest is representing Nakamo Worldwide. He is a part of the inaugural Trios Champions. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ender of all Barts, Bart Ender. Bart, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
A part of one of the first Trios teams that Warzone has ever seen, a former Trios champion, and now representing Nakamo Worldwide. For those who have never heard of you before, what can you tell us about yourself?
I am Bart Ender. I am the masked master of mixology. I am the lord of lucha libre, the deity of drink service.
So how does one become not only a practitioner of lucha libre, but also get into bartending?
Growing up as a young child, I used to watch shows such as Ultimate Muscle and Kaneko Man, and I just wanted to be a wrestler, and it just made sense. As for the bartending, well, I kind of got dragged into that one. I had a rival growing up, and he was an alcoholic. He was known as the Barfly. We had a rivalry, and I just couldn't stand seeing him go the way he was going. So I went to him to confront him at the bar, and it was a fight I lost and had to become his personal valet.
So how was being the valet for the Barfly?
It had its ups and downs. I'll give it that. But it drove me nuts seeing such a good guy driven to such low heights.
So if you were supposed to be his personal valet, and yet here you are in Warzone, how did you end up getting out of that deal?
Well, one day when I was on my way to work, I was crossing the street and got hit by a cerveza truck and wound up in the multiverse.
Truck Coon takes another life. I mean, so that's how you came to MNW?
That is correct.
Have you been able to establish any kind of contact with the Barfly post-accident?
No, I have not, but I believe there will be a time where I will get to go back and settle my differences.
Shortly after you debuted, everyone kept seeing you around with Glycerius and Strongglad, a Olympic-themed luchador that we haven't really seen too much of lately, forming Lucha on the Rocks. How did you three form this team?
Well, after my debut in the multiverse, after the Battle Royal, we realized that we luchadors, we belong together. Plus, we all like the color blue. It worked out well. So then we realized that the stronger together we were, the better. And when working with such a cool individual such as Glycerius and Strongglad as he was, it just made sense for us to team up and show the multiverse what we could do.
Unfortunately, with Strongglad not being able to compete, you and Glycerius teamed with Alpha Kong to win the Barroom Brawl Trios Championship. What was it like to become the inaugural Trios Champions?
That journey. It was wonderful and horrible at the same time. And just being able to take down the most feared hats at the time, or taking on the faces of fear, that was a wonderful story. But I don't want to ignore the fact that being the inaugural Trios Champions is such an honor for this company.
What was the overall thought process bringing in Alpha Kong?
Well, when Strongglad left us, and that happens, we needed someone to step up, and Glycerius and we talked it over, and he had such a respect for the rivalry that he and Alpha Kong had.
Unfortunately, you all dropped those titles to the main event Mex.exe. After the match, what was the overall feeling?
Disgust. I don't mind losing when you lose, to proper reasons, but being ripped off, having the rules changed on the fly, disrespecting everything that the Trios Championship was, it's so upsetting, and I still have that vendetta against them.
Well, you might be able to get some form of revenge in the upcoming MNW Faction Warfare Battle Royale.
Oh, I am literally watering at the mouth thinking of it.
Speaking of factions, you will be in that Battle Royale representing Nakamo Worldwide. And this is mostly out of pure curiosity. Why?
Well, I did it for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I saw a lot of talent and possibility in Powder Surge. He reminded me so much of the Barfly. that he was such a good person. I didn't want him corrupted and go down as he did. Not only Power Surge. I don't want to get this the wrong way, but Trashman Jones, even though I have no love lost for the man, he at least is actually taking his time and listening to advice. Honestly, I don't know what goes on in the mind of Trashman Jones. The reason that I have joined Nakama Worldwide is because, you know, I am a man of my word. My honor, my bond, yes. I may not agree with it completely, but I see a lot of potential that could be had, especially with this Battlegrounds tournament.
Once again, I'm asking this out of pure curiosity. What persuaded you to fight Christopher Caliban, aka The Creation, a couple of Fridays ago?
I don't like to think about it, but Jones wanted to jump on it. When I was told, I was like, all right, well, you know, I'm a man of my word. I will do as I say. So, yes, I went in there and I hit The Creation. Not at max ability, unfortunately, because I like the guy. I don't want to hurt him. But that in turn led to me getting my ass kicked, but that's the way it works.
How excited are you to gain another opportunity to win the Trios Championship?
Oh, that is so much I could say about it. To be the first ever multi-time Trios Championship would be such an honor. It'd be like giving the best handshake to El Santo or meeting Jushin Thunder Liger. It would be fantastic.
With all this being said and done, as we are winding down here, is there anything that you would like to tell the Firing Line audience?
Prepare for the unexpected. We don't know how it's going to go. We will try our best, and yes, even though Nakama is not the most popular group out there, I see a lot of potential here if we could just get out of Jones's ego.
I would like to thank my guests for joining us. It's closing time. One last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey and beer. If you would like to see Bart Ender in action, please tune in to twitch.tv/Takahata101 for MNW Warzone Saturdays at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This has been Joe, signing out.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Callout featuring Bart Ender. And with that, we now move on to the Warzone portion of the show and our coverage of faction warfare. And the night kicked off with the faction warfare didn't kick off right away. We started out with a few regular Warzone matches, the first of which featured Bart Ender's former tag team partner, Glycerius, taking on the mentor of Dungeons & Destiny, Rapture New Road. And this, I mean, you know, a decent starting match for the night. Two well-established wrestlers. Any thoughts on this match at all, gentlemen? Just
I initially wondered how focused Rapture would be considering the events that transpired the night before, but I think it was good for him to take out his frustrations on Glycerius. Not that Glycerius isn't an all-world athlete. I mean, he's one third of the first ever Trios champs. Speaking of faction warfare, but I think this was good for Rapture, and I think he had a really good showing against Glycerius in this match. So, all things considered, well done to keep focused on the opponent.
Yeah, you know, I have to believe that once you're in the ring, that's where your head has to be, or you're going to be having a bad night.
You're toast, because everybody that makes it to MNW, no matter where they are on the card, is a top-level athlete. So you have to be focused on who's in the ring.
Oh, thank you for the compliment, Mr. Genericson.
Shut up, Scott.
I'm going to not shut up because I'm going to agree that once a wrestler steps into the ring, really everything needs to just get out of your head besides what's happening right in front of you. To quote one of my all-time favorite movies, when you think, you're dead. And this was, honestly, this was a great match. Both of them really, demonstrated their skill and aptitude in the ring. And this was a great way to start off the show. It really got the crowd hyped, really got them, excited for what was to come. And, a great job of booking for an opening match.
And Rapture New Road manages to get the victory. That had to feel good, as we said, for everything going on. Plus, I'm sure that made his friends in Dungeons and Destiny happy.
And after the abuse that both of them took at the hands of Kevin Blackwell the night before, I'm sure it was a fine respite to see their mentor get the W to start off the night.
I would have to agree. So next, although the factions had been chosen, everyone was set. There was still a lot to go on, a lot of back and forth. Of course, we know that the star chips are out in play, even though right now with the faction warfare that was put generally on hold. Still, we saw members of the roster involved, such as the Sentinels, with Sparrow and Daverman coming out with their new recruits. That, of course, being Lieutenant Phoenix Hallex, and Captain Quebec, up against a interesting team of Daggerick, Papusa, Sir McCheese, and that one schmuck. Where we always try. What would you call this team? Dag McSchmuck.
We've been booked.
There you go. And it's
definitely at a disadvantage. I mean, a lot of talent, but outside of McCheese, not a lot of tag team expertise. Whereas Daver has been in multi-man matches for honestly a majority of his career. Outside of the Big Oof run that he had after he beat Ogre, he's mostly been a tag and trio specialist.
It's a good point. I mean, one of the winners of the Wish Upon Brawl tournament back with Super Heavenly Beats.
Yep. A member of the Sentinels, and now they've got some new recruits. So back into being in tag teams and trios.
I mean, back before the days of the Inquisition, Daggerick was a tag wrestler, but that's been a long time past.
Oh yeah.
And McCheese was a faction wrestler, but then there's Schmuck, who's always just Schmuck.
I mean, the last time Dagger was in a tag team, it was Rhythm and Blues, and we remember how long ago that was. That was before the trio belts existed.
Yeah. And of course, I don't think Papusa. I mean, he was briefly the partner of Lieutenant Phoenix, but that was a short-lived team, and really not Papusa's specialty.
FNH, yeah, I can do it with less sarcasm.
And we were getting on, apparently on social media, Defunk is saying shortchanged heroes.
I believe they're called the Union.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's that's a name.
Oh my God!
And yet.
Yeah. I mean, here we are talking smack, but Papusa managed to get the submission win on Sparrow. So these four, this ragtag team of plucky veterans have managed to get a victory and get themselves in the win column. Can you call veterans plucky? I mean, is that even a thing?
Yeah, because plucky is more of a personality trait than it is a specification of how long you've been in a place.
That's true. I guess you do normally.
It's a description of your mood, not of your service.
Well, I guess on that front, then Schmuck is always kind of plucky.
Oh yeah.
And oh no, we're not. I am not going to call those guys 3.5 men. Social media is saying 3.5 men. No. Don't disparage Dagrick that way. He's a dwarf.
That's messed up.
He's a dwarf. He's a proud man.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Captain Quebec because he's only half a person because he's Canadian.
I wasn't. You know what? That might be what they meant. They weren't specifying who. So
that's true.
You could be right. I mean, I'm sure. You know, I don't know. I have several Canadian friends. Let's moving on. So, speaking of tag team specialists, the next match featured the former tag champs, Los Bell Bros, taking on another set of former champs in the Absolute Units. But this one, Absolute Washington starting out against Flyboy Bell. And the thing that's been interesting with the units lately has, of course, been the return of TJ Gable.
Indeed. Who, by the way, quick note, might be adopted. We'll keep you posted.
All right, fair enough. But of course, Washington in there with his usual tag partner, Forrest the Fortress Wade, a man who's got to be pulling a lot of double duty right now.
Yeah, and again, former tag team champions on both sides of this match.
Right. Yeah, but he's also busy helping the entire roster prepare their tax forms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot going on. He's reminding everyone file early.
That reminds me, I have to call him.
Yeah, I already got my return. I'm good. But while you've got the Absolute Units have been a great tag team, let's not ignore the expertise of Los Bell Bros. Although, as we were talking earlier about Rhythm and Blues, and Flyboy Bell was the other half of Rhythm and Blues.
Yep. And in the trios tournament, we got the Rhythm and Blues brothers, which was the Bell Bros and Daggerick, if you remember.
That's true. A one night reunion for Daggerick with his former partner and his brother.
Yep.
Although I almost feel like Daggerick's a whole different person ever since the Inquisition. So
he definitely is. I mean, you stay in that prison for 3 months straight.
Yeah, that's going to
change you.
Let's be honest. That probably had a very that could be a big explanation of why why Zacho is the way he is now.
Potentially, although we see Flyboy trying to take it to Washington, and it's not working.
I always think it's weird when it's like, focus on the person in the ring with you. Don't get distracted by the person on the outside. But this was I don't want to call it an upset because the units have been on fire of late, winning left and right. I think the Bell Bros are a veteran team. Were a long-standing, had a long title run, won the Nexi this year for top tag team. But when the Nexis come around next year, I think this team right here is going to be in that running.
I mean, I can't say that I disagree with you.
Yeah. Now, the next match, there's a lot of feelings about this next match, and almost none of it has to do with the actual in-ring competition. It has to do more with a lot of people just trying to wrap their heads around the change in Sir Uncle Dunk. But even that pales into comparison to how mad people are with Registered Anon, because he apparently has been in vacation mode while denying the Toxic Wastelanders their vacation request. And so you have a lot of people kind of rooting for Uncle here just for this is what you get for not giving the boys their time off to go to Disneyland.
Yep. And with somebody new at ringside, I mean, do we know who that is?
His name is Mr. Butler.
Right, but what is his actual name?
That's a great question. Right now, all we have on our paperwork is Mr. Butler. That is literally what Uncle Dunk put down on the valet paperwork.
Oh boy.
And all we know is he's Uncle Dunk's manservant. He wears a mask, and he's bald. That's really, I mean, beyond that, we don't have any scope on this guy.
Huh. Look at this power by Anon, too. A gut wrench off the middle rope.
Anon has always been surprisingly strong.
He really has.
Some people have referred to it as Florida strength.
I can see it.
Yeah. Which one person has said that's because that's a lot politer and less controversial than calling it what it probably really is.
Agreed.
That's
fair. On the other hand, Uncle Dunk has tapped into the power of, well, being a complete bastard.
He sure
Look
has.
At that submission, though. Wow.
Yeah.
Like a modified crossface.
It makes me wonder. I know we're dealing with cross-factional issues. Part of me almost wants to see the Money Man versus the Highwayman. I'd be deeply curious what a match between Uncle Dunk and Thunderbolt would look like. Because I just want to see Thunderbolt put a your money or your life on him.
I can't say that I would mind seeing that.
Yep. And also tweeting out on social media, Kath Gina, I'm nearing the end of my patience with this. Someone is going to start talking. Simon West, I believe we need to have a chat. Please get back to me soon. We can have some people. Something is going on in the background.
That is terrible. What is happening that she is so insistent on talking with the Empire? I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Gentlemen, it's Fey business. Just let it be.
You know what?
You probably don't want to know.
If it affects the show, I feel like we have a right to know.
You know what? We can file some paperwork with Mr. Lawson.
Great.
I mean, that's what. Well, until we get a GM back, that's what we got to deal with. Well,
So before we move on, I just want to double check. So what is everyone's problem with Sir Uncle Dunk all of a sudden?
That he's a jerk now?
Yeah.
How about something a little less subjective?
Okay. He has an attitude problem.
Again, not so subjective.
It's not subjective. He complains.
I think that's very subjective. If I had a nickel for every time someone told me that I had an attitude problem...
Okay, Scott, he's basically Warzone's version of you, except he's actually won a belt before.
In MNW. You know, I'm only going to say this because I know that New Nexus Pro Wrestling is loosely affiliated with MNW, but by the way, I don't know if you realize this because you probably don't watch, real good wrestling. I am the current reigning, defending NNPW Nexus Neverweight champion. So, if you would be so kind as to put just a little bit of respect on it.
Did you make that in like cardboard and crayon? Is that what that?
While I do have a custom-made belt, it is made out of the finest materials comparable to that of any heavyweight championship across any multiverse.
Now,
thank you very much.
While you guys are going on, Forrest Wade tweeted out that he also Uncle Dunk embezzled the company vacation fund, which actually is one of the reasons Anon had that match with him.
Okay, that's mean. Okay. I'll give you that one.
Okay. Also, thank you to Lusumio1 the Robot for gifting a tier 1 sub to Carla MB19. All right, let's get on to the next match. And this one, well, some familiar faces. It's Mick Morgan coming out with his partner in the UK Spitfires, former Flashbang heavyweight champion Ginger Boy.
We miss you, Ginger Boy.
Taking on the Toxic Wastelanders. And at first there was a little confusion. Apparently it was supposed to be a tornado tag team match, and that had not actually been communicated to the wrestlers. So the ref restarted the match, and the Toxic Wastelanders were fine. Like, oh, you want us to beat you up together? Great. So here we have it. Gorewheel and Domain Man taking on the Scotsman and the Englishman.
I don't think that this was such a good idea on the Toxic Wastelanders' part to campaign to have this be a tornado tag match, because letting Ginger Boy off the proverbial chain is never a smart move. He is one of the most dangerous fellas to come through MNW. One of the most dangerous that isn't, supplemented by some sort of external assistance.
That's fine. You can just say vanilla. I don't know.
That is one way to put it. But vanilla is a very respectable flavor of ice cream.
I'm just going to go back to talking about the match, which saw some great teamwork from Ginger Boy and McMorgan, with McMorgan keeping the Atomic Adonis busy while Gingy tried to put on, I want to say that was the London Dungeon. No, that was the Mad Lad Lock.
No, that was the London Dungeon. If it's the Guillotine Choke, that's the London Dungeon. This is the Mad Lad Lock that he taps him to.
All right.
Right as you saw the A-bomb in the corner.
So, basically going back to Scott's point, don't discount Ginger Boy. He held that belt for a long time for a reason.
I'm just saying, Ginger Boy doesn't need to inject himself or expose himself to more and more toxic substances to stay relevant in the company. That's all I'm saying.
And tweeting out on social media, McMorgan says the Wastelanders fucked around and found out. Now I go towards the belt.
Hear, hear.
Well, that's the goal. Now it begins. The first of the cross-brand matches of the evening. And this is a match that had not been pre-announced, but is, if you're going to start out with a cross-brand match, this is the one you start with, because it features Mega Blitz X in his rider form taking on Brawl Kaiser. So you have two Taku heroes facing off in action. And a lot of people were looking at this match going, it's great seeing them fight, but can they team up?
So Brawl Kaiser to Omega Club win.
Or Mega Blitz to Flashbang win.
Yeah, I'd rather have that.
I mean,
I'll tell you, I along with everybody else, I did not see this coming, and as soon as Brawl Kaiser stepped out onto the stage, I popped. I legit popped. Like, the community went nuts, the audience went nuts, I went nuts. It was crazy, and we were all so excited and so enthusiastic and so hyped for this match, and boy did this match deliver.
It did, and tweeting it on social media, out of character, I might not be here later, just wanted to say thanks to Bosco for making the fight between me and... I'm going to save that one, Lasume, because it's got some spoilers in there. I will get to it later, though, okay?
I saw the message. I can acknowledge you're very welcome. It was a long time coming. I'm glad you had fun.
Yeah. Although also out there from Mega Blitz X, this was one of my favorite matches ever. I love Brawl and this show. Thank you so much. Also, Bosco, would love to be the Toku Titans.
True story, since we're above game for a second. This was the only match that I told Kurt this is happening.
So this one was the one you said this must be.
This must be. The Max one was a cute idea, and we didn't know how it was going to go down. But like this was the one I'm like, this has to happen no matter what.
And as we were saying, before we go back in game, everyone bought in.
Yep. The reason I put Brawl in the 8-man match, the reason I had Brawl Kaiser embellished in this other story, I didn't want anybody thinking, it'd be cool if he showed up, but he's not actually going to come out and fight for the big oof.
So that worked. And back in game. So yeah, this really looking at these two, there's a long history of these kind of heroes matching up, but then usually going after a bigger threat. So this could be looked at as the first stage of something, but also two fairly well-matched competitors. But I think in the end, when you look at how things turned out, it's the experience of Mega Blitz X that gave him the edge in the matchup. You know, veteran of the multiverse.
Yeah, but I mean, still a solid 8-minute showing from Brawl Kaiser, and he's the Big Oof champion for a reason, but Brawl Kaiser hung with him.
Yeah, and nothing against Brawl Kaiser. As we said, he's been doing great. He's just got to get this whole Schneid thing out of his head.
He can't get off the Schneid. Maybe he should just embrace it.
I mean, you know, Donkey Kong keeps trying. You don't see Donkey Kong complaining about being in Get Off the Schneid matches.
Cool J Kyo.
Yeah, they're so, but you know, Kaiser, you know, he's still a young hero. He's still in his first season.
Yeah, I have a lot of faith that Brawl Kaiser will find a lot of success in MNW. He just needs to, just get this Schneid business out of his head. Brawl Kaiser, you are so talented. You have so much potential. You have so much energy. You have the entire multiverse behind you. Everybody wants to see you succeed. And from one professional to another, you've got what it takes, my friend. And just don't stop believing in yourself. Believe in the Scott that believes in Brawl Kaiser. Go, Brawl Kaiser.
All right. And with that, we come now to our second audio promo of the week. It's time for the Warzone audio promo. And this one features, for the first time in a while, ladies and gentlemen, Raphael Sampson.
Greetings and salutations, people of the multiverse. It is once again I, thy humble servant, Raphael Sampson. Now, it has come to my realization that many of you either do not know of me or have forgotten me. So, allow me to once again introduce myself. I am Raphael Sampson, the Judge of the Lord, and I am committed to protecting and uplifting the righteous within this noble Colosseum. However, in the darkest depths of my heart, I hear whispers saying that I'm a failure, saying that I cannot protect anyone because I lose. They bite me, and they drag me down into the dark. However, I want you all to listen to this, because even when you lose, you can still uphold righteousness. You can still succeed. Because when you lose, you always learn something. You always grow. And in my time that I have been here, I have grown from the man that I was when I began. So, to all those that challenge me, VIP, outlaws, tonight let me show you what I've learned. If I win, all the greater, and if I lose, then it will be another lesson for me to learn. So, prepare thyself, because I come upon thee in judgment.
And with that, we go into the next match, which features Eastern Bloc Party teaming with the All Lauds, of course, that being Raphael Sampson and Sasquatch Wing, taking on the Outlaws and their partners, the Beef and Suplex Sam from VIP. So I think I feel compelled to point out that 3 members of this match used to be on Flashbang.
Mm-hmm.
Not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not quite a cross-promotional faction warfare match, but it still does stand out a little.
Yeah. The Outlaws and Suplex Sam.
And this is, but then you've got the Beef and his issues with Nice Eyes. There's a lot of history going on here. Also, I think the Outlaws, they've been upset lately because, like Jack the Questionable, they haven't been hired a lot lately.
No, I mean, it's been slow going, but I mean, tough times, man.
Yeah.
They're not cheap to hire a mercenary to do all your dirty work.
In this economy, you know?
Yeah. Although apparently they've been getting some side hustle. If rumors are to be believed. And you know, as
I
much,
love that. Did you see that? Shades of Suplex Sam must have taught that to him.
You have to wonder. You know, you figure once you're in a faction, there's going to be some cross pollination of skill.
Probably.
But,
speaking of 3 members involved in this match being from Flashbang, 3 members not involved in this match from Warzone, the Trios champions, how convenient.
Mm-hmm.
They would rather hire the Outlaws than fight as a unit.
I mean, on some level, my understanding is Azir Turan's reasoning was he wasn't sure if they were going to have to defend the Trios belts right away or not, and wanted to keep the team fresh. That's
ridiculous. That's an excuse.
That is sound strategy, Eric.
No, because if you're defending the titles, they wouldn't have been in this match anyway. They're just cowards, and they want to be as fresh as possible for a team that just went through a hellacious match for whenever they have to defend those titles, which, by the way, I will reveal at the end of the night when they're defending those titles.
Fair enough. And, well...
and of course, heaven forbid that VIP wanted to, help the Outlaws out and give them a little bit of work.
Yeah, that's why they did it. They're such generous people.
And either way...
The VI Pharaoh is exceptionally generous.
Yep, Theron Eldrazi gets the win. Just want to get this out before the clip ends. So yes.
I'm sorry, do you want to throw off your groove, Jerry?
Hey, I've got a rhythm to these things. It's okay. You'll get used to it. All right, and well, with that, it's time for a title match. Specifically, everyone remembers recently Jungos became the Nexus Titan champion after a successful Money in the Bank cash-in. And this is his first title defense. And they put him up against a former Nexus Titan champion in Fear Strikes. So the Wall Boss versus the Terror Angel.
And this all came about because Fear Strikes was supposed to challenge Mega Blitz. He had won that right. But because of all the different invasions, they rethought all of their number 1 contenders. And so Fear Strikes went, well, if you're not going to give me Mega, then give me Jungos.
And the brass agreed, and thus we have this match. And this is, as we said, Fear Strikes has held his fair share of gold.
He sure has.
Whereas this is the biggest title ever held by Jungos, who previously was Warpgate Hardcore champion. So, but really very even showing between both these wrestlers. Which I only point out because, honestly, often Fear Strikes has a tendency to dominate.
Well, I mean, you're not going to dominate. He is one of the more resilient competitors on Warzone.
Yeah, and thus the point. It's makes it a hard climb. On the other end, also you got to figure Jungos, the last thing he wants to do is lose his belt on the first title defense.
Agreed.
Whereas Fear Strikes is somebody with a lot to prove, I think. Since his the separation from the Faces of Fear, in light of how well the Revenant has remade himself and revitalized his career, you have to figure that Fear is looking for a similar revitalization, and it always has seemed out of his reach.
The thing I like about this particular match is it's really, it's not really contrasting styles. I mean, they're exactly the same person. They are brawlers, they are strikers, and you can see it right here with Fear Strikes just laying into Jungos. It was just a brawl from bell to bell.
Yeah.
And this was another great booking decision, because thanks to this match taking place, we had Mega Blitz's Open Challenge, which was accepted by Brawl Kaiser, and we had an amazing match there. And this ended up being an amazing match in its own right. So I think it worked out pretty well for everybody. Well, okay, maybe not absolutely everybody, but by and large.
And now Jungo stands confidently.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to have two unhappy people.
Well, I mean, every match has to have a loser.
Right.
That's the nature of wrestling. And, you know, let's face it, very few, unless you're in Apex, very few people have undefeated streaks.
It's true.
And we know, Scott, you're working on it.
Mm-hmm. We could spend literally all show talking about that, but we're not going to, because this is Warzone and this is Faction Warfare,
and that's a new Nexus Titan champion.
Yeah. So, Fear Strikes does manage to grab the belt, making a extremely short reign for Jungos. And Fear Strike, again, talking about looking for that boost that seemed just beyond his grasp. Well, there it is. He has the second most prestigious belt on the show around his waist. And, you know, like you said, Jungos is a great competitor, but now he has to, you know, now there's that unfortunate term, transitional champion, hanging around his neck.
And that is a big oof. No pun intended.
We'll allow it. Well, I'll allow it. I don't know about Eric.
It's not my show.
Okay. Now, the next match, and after this match, it is just full-on faction warfare. And it features the Funky Beats going up against Chained Hell. So, this one, I don't know how they're in a cage.
A match that we were supposed to get a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the only contenders to actually get the title shot they were promised.
It's true. So as the tag belts are on the line, the Funky Beats, they've made a name for themselves for it's the tag team everyone had wanted to see together forever. And there they are. But Chained Hell, they've been the team to watch basically, I want to say, since Multivania. You know, their performance at that tag gauntlet match got everyone's attention. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I think they had the longest run in that gauntlet match.
Close to it, if not the longest.
And that's the moment everyone went, well, their tag championship run is inevitable, and now here we are. And so far, they've shown a dominancy that, while it's not quite rivaling that of the Bone Warriors, it certainly has shades of it.
You know, while
the Bone Warriors are the longest reigning champions in the history of MNW now officially, so they got a little ways to go before they're in that kind of a category.
Fair enough. So really, they beat out Nice Ice.
And while I'm happy that that the Funky Beats got the title shot that they were promised, it's a shame that it had to happen on this night, because boy, wouldn't it have been great to see Chained Hell and the Bone Warriors in a champion versus champion. Not title for title, don't get me wrong. Not title for title, but a champions versus champions match. Because I mean, that's a pay-per-view quality match right there. And we could have had it, but, well.
And there you have it. As we're speaking of that dominancy, I have to believe that that Defunk was just exhausted by that point.
I mean, yeah, he was out on his feet, or I guess on the turnbuckle.
And thus, Chained Hell maintain their grip on the tag titles. All right, and now here we are. 3 matches were promised ahead of time in the faction warfare. And the first of those featured from Friday Night... Well, I'm right, starting from Warzone. Sorry, I got my order backwards. The former Emperor of the Republic, Probanaga, taking on Flashbang's aristocratic Canid.
In a hardcore match.
And interesting, you see them both basically flexing on each other right before they get into business. On the other hand, having the respect to let each other do it.
I mean, that's what you do in a duel. You slap each other around a little bit.
Fair. I guess their breeding shows through, as it were. If anything, I think the only while we see both of them play to the crowd a bit in their normal matches, it did seem a little bit more this evening.
I mean, there was a lot more peacocking than usual. But when you have 2 egos like these two in the same match, you're gonna get an unusual amount of peacocking. It's just in their nature. And especially when each of them knows that the other will let them get away with it, because each of them wants the chance to out peacock the other. So to out peacock each other is probably just as important to these two in this match as getting the fall.
Fair enough. And Eric, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, look out below.
It is still a hardcore match.
Yeah, he did not hit the stairs flat on either. He caught a corner.
And thank you to
He also
Probate
caught this glorious DDT through a table
for the 9-month resub. And on social media, Probanaga is tweeting out "damn clout chaser."
I mean, he's one to talk.
But breaking the table. This point, it's the posturing is aside, and both intend to win the match. Yeah. Give what you will for the showing off. In the end, the best way to show off in a wrestling ring is to win.
And as if this wasn't enough, the fall from grace is a devastating move as it is. But when you do it through a table, thanks for playing, sweet prince. Night, night.
Yeah, I mean, Canid had a good showing, but yeah, it definitely was Probanaga's night to shine. And thus, the second match of the night of cross-brand chaos goes to Warzone.
You know, while the Canid and I haven't always seen eye to eye, I know potential when I see it, and Canid has demonstrated on multiple occasions that, much like Brawlkaiser, with whom he shared that famous best of 5 series, he can perform with the best of the best in MNW, and he proved it once again going against an absolute legend of MNW in Probanaga. So, yeah, Canid, you didn't get the win, but you had an amazing showing, and I'm sure you're proud of your work, and everyone in Flashbang should be as well.
It was a good showing. I mean, great work from both wrestlers, but in the end, though, one had to win, and it was Probanaga. Now, this next match, this one was very, very specifically set up by Mr. Lawson. And if you want to know why, well, the previous week, one of the participants in this match paid to have a commercial played right here on Firing Line.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to listen to that commercial right now.
Firing Line tonight is brought to you by Friday Night Flashbang.
Friday nights are where you unwind, and that the stories of Flashbang take you away with thrilling action. I don't like you, Fate. I'm gonna beat you up. Heated conflicts. We are going to
Stop
beat
it,
you
Bone
up,
Boys.
guy. No, you stop it. And budding romances.
I love you, wife. I love you too, husband.
Back.
No, not. Shut up. Deep in the heart of the best physical theater, the most successful soap opera, Flashbang, comes to you in 8 VHS collection tapes. Tune in Fridays for Flashbang, television's best theater, with award-winning actor and professional bikini model Scott E. Stevens. Come see why Flashbang is truly a Nexi-winning drama. This commercial was made by Maximum Nintendo, the #1 fan of Flashbang. #Flashbang Drama.
And yeah, I know you had some comments on that last week, Scott.
I got a sneeze. I got it.
And yeah.
Oh, what a great time for a sneeze to come in. Sorry, I'm allergic to nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. I mean, Eric, you've suffered through Max tweeting out week in and week out about the actors on Flashbang.
I certainly have.
So, Mr. Lawson told Max he had a special surprise for him. And so as Max came to the ring, he definitely got to see what that surprise was. And that surprise was one that everyone dreads when on the Flashbang roster. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, from Apex, it is the undefeated Satyrus Basilicus.
Thanks for playing.
I'm sorry, what?
I said thanks for playing.
Yeah, pretty much. At this point, this is when you know.
I think I made the comment and don't. No.
Yeah. Yeah, and Max going, "Oh, I love you on the show. I'm so glad to meet you."
Wait, hang on. That's not what I meant. Oh.
Yeah. It's definitely started out with Satyrus basically just going to work on Max while Max didn't actually realize he was in an actual wrestling match. And I think we're going to have to find out from what Max was saying to him. I have to imagine it was something like, wait, this is supposed to be pretend. Partway through the match, though, Max...
You actually hit me!
Max finally figured out, oh, wait, I have to
wrestle. This is legit. He's not an actor.
So a lot of people asked how long this match lasted, and was it the longest match that Satyrus ever had? And the answer is no.
No, I believe that honor is still the Omni Geeks, technically.
It is. The Omni Geek went a full 10 minutes. This match went...
It was about 6
minutes. Yeah.
There you go. So it was close, though.
It was a good showing. Far longer than the 30 seconds to 1 minute that most of Satyrus's opponents face. And on social media...
Oh, that spear. He looked for max damage, and he found it, just not the way he thought.
And tweeting out on social media, Mizuki Napier, like I said, my boys know their place. Do you?
I have to admit that I've never enjoyed watching Satyrus work more than I did this match.
And once the match was over, I think part of the reason people kept going longest ever is the fact that once the bell rang, Satyrus wasn't done.
Yep.
And
that table.
Freshly fixed table, as you were pointing out at the moment, Eric. And they're going to need to get another one out of back because there goes Max through the table.
The Maze Crasher through a table. Ugh.
So with that, gentlemen, on the phone with us is...
You have Satyrus?
No, but I do have Maximilian Thunderthighs.
Oh, I got excited. I'm curious.
Hello, Max.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Max, is there something you would like to say to the crowd?
Hi, fans around the world. It's the big behemoth himself, Maximilian Thunderthighs.
Max, is there something you'd like to say to the Flashbang roster?
Apologies. I have actually made my official apology statement for the Firing Line audience when the Firing Line show is broadcasted. But for the sake of everybody on Firing Line and for the sake of Mr. Genericson and Scott being here, my bad.
On behalf of the Flashbang roster.
Whoa.
Well,
What?
I have made an official apology. If you want to go listen to it, please go ahead.
On behalf of the roster, I'd like to say absolutely nothing because it's not my place to comment for everybody else. You pissed a lot of people off, Max.
All right, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I didn't know. You guys were very convincing, and I only get to watch you on television.
Max, they do the same thing that you do.
I thought they were just good stage performers, and they're really good at hitting.
What put this idea in your head?
Well, I mean, I never have been to the Flashbang Arena. I only got up to the entrance of it, and then I only watch you guys on TV. So you kind of, when you only see it on TV, you don't really get the disillusion of it being real or not. And be honest with you, some of you guys are just so hammy and so much like acting prowess. I just believed you guys were a bunch of stage actors and performers.
Max, Meme has defended the trios titles at the last 2 breakdowns.
I thought those were cameos.
Oh.
All right. Nope, that's fair.
I mean, okay, can we point out here, we have Earl King, who has so much ham he could open up as an entire butcher shop with that much.
He used to be on Warzone. Where did you think Helix went?
What do you mean he used to be on Warzone? I haven't been here since then.
Helix changed shows.
Yeah, I thought he became a full-time actor. The man has acting chops. Have you heard his promos?
And Ginger Boy decided to quit acting at the exact same time and become a wrestler?
Yeah, and I thought he was doing such a good job, and now he's working in the UK Spitfires. That was, my bad.
In his defense, I can see how he would be confused.
No! What?
Yeah, see? Scott agrees with me.
Oh my God. Both of your brain cells would get along great together. Oh gosh.
Mr. Thunderthighs,
mm-hmm.
as the only individual that you singled out in your little commercial, and as an award-winning actor and former bikini model, on behalf of the entire Flashbang roster, I accept your apology.
Well, thank you.
You don't get to do that.
I just did.
Well, he accepted, and you know what? He's an upstanding guy.
No, he's not.
I mean, there are things I'm not going to even get into that part, but honestly, he's being a nice guy right now, and you're the one yelling at me.
Fair point.
Yeah, so Max, I have one last question for you.
Certainly.
When you were on your knees, what exactly were you saying to Satyrus?
Well, I thought we were going to be running through a routine where I was going to be honest with you, I thought we were going to be doing a catch throw that he was going to kind of carry me through the acting scene, but I realized very quickly he wasn't acting because I had whispered him. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get down, and I want you to grab the head, and I want you to do a nice spinning cowboy roll. And clearly, that was not what he did. He improv'd quite there, and after that, it was like a little spark in my head. That tiny little voice said that he's not acting. He's just fighting. And I knew at that moment that I needed to do something or I was going to die a lot more. I now have a bruise on my stomach, but it could have been a lot worse.
Fair enough. Well, last question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Last
you had a question.
Last question. And how did the kids at the hospital take it?
Almost all of the kids were cheering for Satyrus. I had a few of them come back with imitation goat horns and threw them at me. But I think they took it in spirit. If I can make a statement here before I leave. Once again, my official apology will be on the Flashbang section tomorrow. However, though, for those of you who just attend the firing line, I really didn't know, and call me oblivious, call me blind, but I'm still going to watch Flashbang, and I still think Apex is one of the best teams out there, and I'm still going to be their #1 fan and Flashbang's #1 fan. That hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed right now is my opinion of the lawyer. But that's just my own personal opinion. See what I do on Warzone, and see what's going to happen to the big behemoth Maximilian Thunderthighs. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Maximilian Thunder. Wait, I'm sorry. Dr. Maximilian Thunderthighs.
I just want to say, on behalf of the entire Flashbang roster, because I'm sure they'll agree with me, Max, we all wish you the best in your future endeavors.
And with that,
I think Maximilian Thunderthighs would be an excellent addition to the Flashbang roster in the future.
Sorry, I think I passed out there for a second. Okay. All right, are we ready? Are we good? Eric?
Nope, sorry, I think I might have stroked out. Yeah, go.
Okay, all right. Well, we are now at the main event, Faction Warfare. Eric, do you want to explain to the audience the match stipulation they are about to see?
It's a 30-man, 10-team, over-the-top rope battle royal. So it is a team-based battle royal. And they will be teams of 3, 10 of them. And the order was randomly decided, so nobody knew when they or their partners were coming in until the night of the match. And that's just the way it is.
All right, and here we go. And the match kicked off in a fascinating fashion, starting off with Feel Good Inc. from Conquest Bloodline and Kelly from Omega Club. And this is interesting because, of course, Feel Good Inc. is the stand of Princess Boots, who's had a long-standing rivalry with Kelly.
And Kelly got the better of him.
Yep. And
maybe Princess Boots should have come out here herself.
Yeah, maybe. I think if Boots had known this was what was going to happen, she might have. But what ends up happening is Kelly takes out Boots, and then faces...
I'm sorry, you keep pronouncing it wrong. It's Kelly.
I will not do that. And then once Wonderball knocks Kelly out of the ring, he faces Flashbang's Thunderbolt, who knocked it. Early in the proceedings, you had a lot of very quick eliminations.
Yeah.
Until finally, Thunderbolt is the first person to have any longevity in the ring. To be knocked out by the Night Reaper, Genericson.
So Genericson now standing tall. And there you see Bart Ender of NWO, and he's gone.
There is at this point, it's finally we get a little bit more with the Cleaver and our Sawyer, with Cleaver knocking out Sawyer, and then Carnival comes to the ring.
Carnival with a special look.
Yeah, his original ring attire, only to get knocked out by the Cleaver.
Oh, and here we are later in the match. So this was a lot of controversy. Aqualung went over the top rope. That was an elimination, but they sneak back in the ring, if you'll notice.
Yeah. Actually trying to waylay the Creation from getting in the ring. And then the Cleaver on a roll, knocking people out, taking out Aiden Zero.
And what we didn't see, we saw Aqualung being thrown out by the referees at ringside, and that allowed Cleaver and Creation to tag team and throw them out by Macabre and by Creation, thanks to Cleaver.
Yeah. This match would get fast and furious. This was an hour-long match, by the way, folks.
And if I'm not mistaken, Xericus and Cleaver, the two that lasted the longest until DeWeaver dumped them both.
Yeah, a good showing by the
Oh! And then this is just... Malice coming in at number 20 decided, you know what? This ring's a little crowded. There's two of them gone.
Basically, Malice came in and just started cleaning house.
And it looks like he definitely targeted the guild. He eliminated both DeWeaver and Curator, the team that imitated Meme, and then for good measure takes out the biggest guy in the match, and then goes after the smallest guy in the match. And look who comes in at number 21.
Yeah.
It's Lasume and Malice.
Yeah, Lasume's dream came true. And in the meantime, off to the side, Justice Jake taking on
Jake coming
Alpha
in
Kong.
23. Alpha was 22, and there goes Alpha Kong, Omega Club eliminated. And Lasume with some revenge.
Does that mean Lasume won their best of 7?
I mean, it would be 2-0 because they won the first match before Malice went up. So,
yeah.
But I don't know if this counts.
It's a good question. But yeah, Lasume out of the match. And
then Trashman is like, screw you, Flashbang.
Yeah, we're remembering it was Trashman Jones invasion.
And this is the mistake, because why would you go to the top rope in a Rumble? Because there's Earl King, ever the opportunist.
I mean, that was poetic on a lot of levels, let's be honest.
Yep. And
it
then
was
going right
satisfying on a lot of levels, too.
True.
Another Sandman low bridging Earl King. How poetic is that?
Truly, I mean, after all the trouble that House Caliban has had between with the Empire.
And did you see Justice Jack Lowbridge, Justice Jake?
It's true. And
there goes Zako, who has issues with Semjax. And look at these three. Who would have thought Sandman would be the final three? Let's be real.
No, that's true. Sandman actually made a great showing, getting down to the final 3 before.
And now, but Mad Jack screwed him.
He did. I mean, you know, Mad Jack
tried to go 2 for 1, and he lost his buddy.
I think in the end, Mad Jack wanted Zako 1-on-1.
Probably.
I think it's less that he had anything against the Sandman and more he just really wanted to be the one.
And look at this. Watch this one-arm choke slam to Zako. Like, who knew that Magic had sneaky skills like that?
Well, you know, if anyone.
And this is where Zako wins the match with a powerbomb that we all were crying about. Oh, wait!
Yeah, no. Speaking of sneaky skills, there it is. Mad Jack stands tall. So the person a lot of people accuse of having started the crossband warfare comes out victorious. And this means that Doom get a crack at VIP's Trios Championship.
They sure do.
You know, I was in the community voice chat while this match was going on, and so many people were so upset and confused as to why Mad Jack would eliminate Sandman when he could have used Sandman's help taking out Zako. But one thing people seem to have forgotten is that he's the Mad Pumpkin King. He doesn't need the help of Sandman. He doesn't need Sandman there to steal his thunder. He doesn't need Sandman to play spoiler to his, you know, poetic justice of eliminating Zako on his own. And he proved that he was capable of doing it. So y'all need to get off of Mad Jack's back, because he did exactly what I'm sure he aimed to do all along.
Fair enough. And before we wrap up, first off, on the phone right now, we have one of the final 3 men from that match. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big firing line welcome to the Sandman.
Oh boy.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing?
So, Sandman, you made it down to the final 3.
I did. And to be fair, I didn't think I'd get there. Especially with Jones being, well, Jones. And then Earl King,
That had to feel good, being the one to eliminate the Earl King.
Oh, you have no idea.
You were
I
also
watched
in
that
there
show.
against the last two Nexus well, I guess 2 of the last now 4 Nexus Titan champions. You were in there with Semjax and Zako Duo in the final 4.
Yeah, I saw firsthand why they were what they were. They're damn good.
So, any hard feelings against Mad Jack for eliminating you the way he did?
No, I had the chance to hold on to Zako. He has a couple of nice places to grab onto, but I slipped. And I'll level with you guys. If the roles were reversed, I would have tried the same thing.
All
I
right.
saw an opportunity, and he took it. I would have done the same thing.
Fair enough. Well, despite that, excellent showing, Sandman. I'm sure the rest of House Caliban were very happy with your performance.
Oh, yeah. Creation especially.
I can imagine, especially because he only made it through the middle of the match. Yeah, a good showing for House Caliban, but especially because you were there at the end.
Yeah, and don't forget, Earl King was kind of the reason why the Creation lost his brain. So, a little bit of catharsis for him.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
A lot of catharsis for everybody.
Oh.
So you may not have won the match, but you won a lot of brownie points within the community, I assure you, sir.
Hey, I won brownie points. I got free beer for life. I call that a net gain.
Fair enough. Well, thank you very much, Sandman, and we look forward to seeing you the next time on Flashbang.
You all have a good day now. Thanks for having me.
And next, a man who may have been eliminated fairly early in the match, but has a great opportunity due to the end. Ladies and gentlemen, give a welcome to the Night Reaper, Genericson.
Hello.
So, go ahead. Actually, Eric, go ahead.
I guess I didn't know he could talk.
No. So, Genericson, with Mad Jack's victory in that faction warfare match, Doom now gets a crack at the Trios Championships belt. How do you feel about that?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, everything went according to plan.
Oh, that's not creepy.
Me and Michael did our jobs. We lasted, we eliminated most, or a lot enough, and Mad Jack came and ended it. And now we get to go on to those fools VIP.
Now, Genericson, why do you feel like Doom is going to have any better chance against VIP than many other trios had against Meme? Is there something that you like about that particular matchup? Because this won't be the first time Flashbang has tried to get the trios titles. What makes you different?
Well, for once, against us is, of course, Wilson, who is about half. So instead of 2v3 or 3v3, it'll instead be 2.5v3.
I mean, you say that, and yet Wilson, son of Will, was a former #1 contender for Flashbang's world title. He's not a slouch, and he's going to be very motivated not to lose on Flashbang territory. Thoughts?
He is also very overestimating himself against me and Mad Jack.
So you think VIP's cockiness is going to be their undoing?
Well, I think they also severely underestimate us and what we are capable of.
That being said, can we expect the Doom that we know? Or is there maybe something up your sleeve? We've seen you and Mad Jack go to some very dark places. We saw it when you teamed up with Henry Colt against the old Inquisition boys. We've seen it before from you multiple times. Are you going to go to that dark place, or is this something you want to do all on your own?
Well, in the end, that's up to Mad Jack and how much he thinks VIP is worth us going that far.
Great. Okay, I have no questions, Caliban.
Nope. Well,
whatever your name is.
Thank you, Genericson, and we look forward to seeing you in that title match. Have a good night.
Good night. Sleep.
Oh, I guess the phone got cut off. Sorry.
It happens.
Oh, yeah, but it happens to that. Don't know. You remember what happened last time we accidentally cut off a Doom member?
Oh, right.
No, sorry. We're sorry.
And of all the people to cut off, oh, you're bad at this, Jerry.
Okay, well, it'll be fine. All right. With that, it's time for the Warzone moment of the week.
Into the corner, Fear Strike still stalking. John goes. And oh my God! Oh! That's move after move after move. Fallen to Fear. Oh, Fear Strike has done it.
Here is your winner, and the new Nexus Titan Champion of the world, the Fallen Angel, Fear Strikes!
And, well, normally that would be it. But lately, the production truck has been giving us a little extra something. Well, extra something from Warzone, or as the labeling on the clip says, ladies and gentlemen, this is the MNW TF. I think the kids of the production truck,
are they just throwing stuff together now?
They're just as I hear it, it's like every once in a while they just want to stretch their wings a little. Or there was something about heresy, but I didn't quite get. I've learned sometimes it's best not to ask.
Somebody took a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So with that, actually, hang on. Let me do one check. Real quick, in or out of character, dude?
I guess I can do.
If it's in right now, if it's out, I'll bring you in a minute.
It's out for Ed.
Okay. Then
okay. Yeah. Yep. Soon.
Yeah. Hang on. I'll have you in soon.
Yeah. Take your time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay to cut him off.
Yeah. Great. On social media, Gore Wheel, Razor Shimon doesn't exist. They can't hurt you. Razor Shimon. Okay.
Well, I'm not sleeping tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the final match from Warzone, and that's it for us from MNW Firing Line. For Scott E. Stevens and Eric Genericson, I'm Jerry Aldini. Good night. And now we're above game.
Yay!
So much to talk about. What do you want? Do you want to bring the boys in first, or you want to?
Yeah, I was gonna say you kicked them out, so bring them back.
I'll bring Hartley in too.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi Kang. Hey Harley.
How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Good. Hartley, you usually out of character when I bring you in, so that's why I wasn't bringing you in earlier.
If they're even there.
I don't know if he's there. Hartley, you there?
I think they stepped away for a quick moment,
Okay,
but I'm not positive.
All right, we'll bring him
They'll
back.
come back.
Let's
that
figure it out.
felt so good to
Wait a minute. Were you there, Hartley? I saw his thing move for a moment.
Yeah, I heard Brett's.
Hello?
Hey,
Hello.
there you are. Hey, Hartley.
Hey.
Hey, no, I saw you waiting up there, but I figure you usually come in out of character, so I kind of figured that was probably what was going tonight
Wait
too.
until the segment was over.
That's fair.
Unless that's changing. Are you going to start coming in character?
I'm going to try my best.
Okay, well, I'll remember that next time.
I'll remember that next time. Him in with Genericson, and then I could have been Mad Jack. Fuck.
Oh, we're gonna remember. I'll remember that next time.
Fuck. Next week. Next week, you boys better be here.
Oh, that's the other two.
Yeah, fucking.
All right. So
Doom 2 Electric Boogaloo. Let's go.
I think I know why Donkey Kong's here though. So Donkey, you want to go ahead and
2 weeks ago from today, I had been terminated from Walmart.
Your gimmick.
With that said, even though I am no longer working at Walmart, I've talked with Caliban, and I think for the safety of the Wall Markiplier, even though he is no longer there in actuality, keep the gimmick.
I mean, the gimmick is just going to be, well, we understand that he was fired 5 weeks ago, but we can't get him to change his shirt.
I mean,
he
look,
refuses to change.
There's so many ways to spin it.
You joke, but fun fact about the character is, with the exception of the chiseled Markiplier face, at the point in time, I had the hairstyle, I have the shirt, I have the pants, I had the shoes, but they broke, and, well, I had the vest. So literally everything about Wall Markiplier was me. I just don't know how he looked like Mark Fishbach.
All right. I mean, there's other things we could do with the character. There's ideas.
Oh yeah, there are ideas.
So, you know what?
We already have a vampire, Frankenstein's monster, and a werewolf, so we'll just wrap you up in some bandages, and you'll be the Yeti mummy.
I still really like the idea of, he eventually just becomes Dr. Caliban's lab assistant, but that's me.
I mean, look, you want me to get a hunch and go, yes, master, you're going to do good.
Because Dr. Caliban would never put up
with
don't. Yeah, Dr. Caliban would never put up with that BS.
Besides, he's already got a lump. His name is Seth Jackson.
So, yeah.
Yes, but instead of that, he's more Southern.
I mean, stuff. Anyway, no, I just wanted to give you guys, because you were waiting up there, and the only guys I didn't bring in yet, so I wanted to give you a chance. Hartley, got anything on your end before we get into the behind-the-scenes stuff?
Honestly, nothing really new. Just taking it one day at a time.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, be here next week with fucking Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. I will be home for that. So
good.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys, we're gonna move on with the show. So thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night.
Good night. Okay, and with that, hey, that was an interesting show.
You got bits, by the way.
I do. Let me read them off real quick. It's from Inevitable Ruffian. Thank you for the 100 bits. Give him Matt Hardy's hair. Broken Wall Markiplier.
Oh my God.
I now work at Lowe's.
Yep, he's truly broken.
That would be the most cursed thing ever.
Yep.
Because you'd be going, but why? All right, so you want to talk about what?
Instead of the New Day going, who, he'd be going, why?
All right, so we got a little time.
We do.
So you want to talk about what?
Yeah, do you want to run the highlights while we're talking about the faction war, since you put so much work into probably editing that monster footage?
I mean, I could put it on it. Hang on, let me set something up real fast. Which is just me going in and putting it on.
Yeah, also, if you guys have questions about the Rumble, if you're like, hey, I saw something and I'm curious, or why did my guy only last 30 seconds, which was my biggest fear. So, here they come.
I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit.
Yes.
Anyway, so we'll just, and I got this on loop, so you can just keep going.
But yeah, no, so this was, if you guys couldn't tell, the Rumble crashed. So this wasn't the whole Rumble, but it didn't crash where I did the first edit. So the reason why the cleaver knocks Aqualung completely out of the ring the way they did. One, it's a cool-ass elimination because Aqualung is eliminated, cleaver is, and bottom or middle rope don't count. Yeah. That's why I stress both feet on the floor over the top rope. You might say, why did Trash Man get eliminated? He climbed to the top turnbuckle and fell over the top rope. So just because he went through the middle rope, he was eliminated over the top rope. If you look at the way he was pushed off. So yeah, the reason I did that edit was because teammates like to attack each other in this match. I had some hacks If you'll notice, Doom actually worked together. Abyssal Void worked together. Guild worked together. But there were certain moments where the AI would override what I had hacked in. So, for example, if there's 6 people in the ring and one of them gets eliminated and the only available person to attack is somebody they're supposed to be partners with, the game would like glitch for a second and then attack their teammate. So I tried to edit around that so that nobody watched their partner get hit in the face by their own teammate. Xericus and Cleaver lasting as long as they did, it was fucking insane. I've never seen people last that long in a Rumble. It was really cool, but it was totally RNG. It was all RNG up until the finish, which was a fun edit that we did. But yeah, we RNG'd it as much as we could. There's the edit I was talking about. And this is a cutscene that I was able to use. Creation just happened to be... The reason why Flashbang was in all these cutscenes, that just happened to be where I had to make the edit, where the AI was attacking itself. It's like, oh man, Xericus is attacking Michael Macabre. That's dumb. I'm going to edit around that. That edit made me really happy because the way that Macabre points over the rope was perfect because in the real match, Cleaver eliminates him in the same spot. Creation helps and then gets eliminated. I wish Creation was in there longer. Sorry, Caliban.
Yeah. RNG. I'm an adult.
This was completely RNG, and I can't stress that enough. That it just the way it happened is the way it happened. We didn't have time to edit it. The Malice thing, this was a cut to a different match, which was awesome. I like getting that cutscene. I used the off switch because it's a hacked move that's not normally in the game. So I guarantee you nobody's ever seen it. I also knew Zako probably wasn't going to use it. I love that big boot. So yeah, we had to splice between a lot of different footage. And we kind of did the best that we could with what we had.
Okay, and real quick, thanks to Wonder Baby Doll for the host. And also, guys, as he said, if you got any questions...
by all means, let me know. The Lasume Malice thing we definitely planned. We set the Rumble orders so that they would come out back to back. Malice and Lasume, we wanted that to happen. So question, 100 bits from Rosso. Question, where does Wilson getting tasered in the balls rank in terms of promos?
God tier.
Yeah, I mean,
S tier.
I mean, it's Travis. He likes to get creative, as we've heard.
Yeah. This segment I liked. I like that because Kurt had two requests. Please let me get an elimination, and please, have me go out cool. And I was like, I got you.
Fair enough. And
so that edit I was super proud of. That's probably my favorite edit because it was the game did the coast to coast, and it happened right when Earl King was coming out, and I went, I'm cutting to a cutscene, and he's getting pushed off. There's just no way I cannot do this. Also, poetically, Justice Jake gets eliminated by Mad Jack, and I'm like, oh, this is so good.
Centurius is asking, how long did it take to record and edit? This seems like a multi-week process.
It took 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks to get what you see. That being said, and I'm also very proud of this, I was debating whether I wanted Sandman or Semjax to be there. I thought Sandman made more sense because he was the less expected, and Semjax getting eliminated by Zako doesn't hurt anybody. And then I got down to these final two. But yeah, it took 2 weeks. This was actually the first match that I tried to do. So at the very beginning of the process, this was the first match that I got. And I stored it. I'm like, all right, I only got up to number 27. When Earl King came out, that's when it crashed, right when he was doing the coast to coast. So I'm like, all right, I'll try again. We couldn't get another good Rumble at nothing. So we just had to edit around what we had. This was I knew it would, because nobody had seen that Hurricane Rana before. That's a hacked move. And everybody knows that powerbomb ends the match. So my hope was they'll buy that Zako's going to win. Doom is going to put them over. It makes sense. Trios belts, meme versus VIP. And I heard the pop when Hurricane Rana'd Zako out of the ring, and it was perfect. It was exactly what we wanted.
And we've got, actually, JMP is saying he liked that Mad Jack eliminated Samjack because the callback when the two fought in the tag team tournament over a year ago.
I thought about that, honestly, but I like that Semjax got eliminated by Zako because it keeps that whole thing alive. It gives them something to do coming out of this match.
And Matrix G is asking, wasn't that the same way Big Rock won the Monster Mash?
Big Rock low-bridged Grim Reaper. Reaper put them on the turnbuckle. So just like that clothesline that Kelly did, Reaper put Big Rock in that position, and Big Rock reversed and low bridged him.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Also, we've got a new person in the call. I'm assuming you're here to you're here to talk, or are you just hanging out?
No, I'll chime in.
Okay.
Also explain my absence and possible future absence.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
We got time, so I'm just gonna keep this.
I was going to get into it right now, but no.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So, but yes, no. Every elimination that we could control, we wanted to. So all the eliminations were random up until the Earl King knocking out Trashman. That was the first one that I was like, this is how this is going to happen. The the Jack and Jake thing was random. That happened during a match while I was controlling somebody else with Arkov. By the way, Arkov helped me with this a lot. So shout out to Arkov. He's a lifesaver. Yeah, the only, like, we're going to make sure that these guys eliminate these guys. Semjack's being eliminated by Zako, I wanted to make sure happen. Trashman had to get an elimination. I definitely wanted Sandman to eliminate Earl King, so we planned that. So that one was planned. And Zako being eliminated by Mad Jack was planned. So there was only about 4 or 5 that we were like, this is how this has to go.
And apologies again, folks. How long was this thing in total?
An hour. No, okay, so Malice was going to eliminate a bunch of people, but who he eliminated was going to be random. But we put him where he was on purpose. So he eliminated a bunch of people in the normal RNG match. I just made it happen quicker. And I also gave him a couple extra. I think he eliminated 2 or 3, and I gave him like 4 or 5. Because we wanted somebody to have that monster run, and we're like, well, it just makes sense for Malice. Here it is. So he gets that elimination normally, and now right now I'm controlling Malice. So I'm just going crazy. And I think right now Lord V is Arkov. And I keep telling Arkov, like, keep Curator busy while I beat the crap out of Power Surge, and then I'm going to dump him. Because we definitely wanted Malice to eliminate the guild, because they were both in the ring, and it made sense. And it would also pay off Lusume knocking out Malice. I just dumped Arkov. That was an edit. Here comes Lusume. So Malice has to now dump Power Surge. Goodbye. Bang. And then Lusume's eventually going to dump Malice. So it all worked out in the end. I'm sad Alpha Kong wasn't in there longer, but Jake was eliminating that was CPU on the corner. We're over here fighting in the corner, Arkov and I. And I'm glad we got a cut here because we needed that camera cut.
And again, it was crowd pleasing.
Yep. Hades got an elimination, which I was very happy about because that Vaporwave made an impact. Trashman got his 1 elimination here, which was good. Yeah. No, I was very pleased with the way the end worked out. It was a pain in the ass. The end took like 2 days to record. And I mean, like, having the footage already, it still took all this time. Like, to get this to work, to get that cutscene, to get the push off, to get this, to transfer back. Like, it was just, oh boy.
I also want to real quick let you know, Super Saiyan said, yeah, I'll be back next week.
Constant reversals was a spot that I called on the fly. I said, hey, Arkov. Basically what I did is I hacked the game so that Arkov and I would have reversals to spare. And yeah, we were like, hey, what I want you to do is reverse me in the corner. We're going to go back and forth for a 3 count, and then I'm going to dump you in your head. We did that a couple of times, but the AI would always fuck us. So eventually I was able to boot him over the top rope with the reversals. So we were like, just keep reversing me. I'll tell you when. That was definitely a spot that I called on the fly. So happy with that animation. It looks so good.
And then, yeah. And then this.
Yep.
Again.
The Zako Mad Jack segment, when we got down to the last 2, we're like, well, we have to have a baby singles match because they might never fight again.
And how much? I mean, again, there was you said you had hacked moves, and you had
So this is a hack move, the Hurricane Rana that he does out of here. There's a Hurricane Rana in the game, but it doesn't look this clean. And I knew it would edit perfectly into that powerbomb, because I knew once that powerbomb animation triggered, everybody would be like, "Well, all right, that makes sense. Meme's gonna win." And then Hurricane Rana, you're like, "Wait, what the what?"
Well, and yeah, I think there was also a bit of a feel, at least in the voice chat, of oh well, they're never going to let Doom win because they're not going to have Doom go after the trios belts.
And yet
here we are.
Yeah, no, this was the plan from the start. Is we wanted to pay off that angle with Meme, and so when it came down to those last two, we're like, all right, go ahead, Doom, do your thing. Because Doom doesn't have to win the trios titles for this to be awesome. Because you could still do the match and it would still be fun. But yeah.
And so was it always decided that there would be a belt opportunity on the line?
Yes. The idea was always going to be that whoever won this was going to get a trios title shot.
So I know we kind of brought it up last week, just because of the just stupid coincidence. But because you had already been working on this, like you said, for 2 weeks. And during that process, there was a certain pay-per-view for AEW.
Yep. I guess I should probably tell this story, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
So for those of you that watched Revolution AEW, and if you don't know what that is, it's the one where they had the fireworks that were supposed to go off, but they didn't. I'm sure you saw about it on Twitter. There was another match at that pay-per-view, and they did a Tornado Tag Team Royal Rumble. And I think Phil was there. You were definitely there. There were a bunch of people there, so they can vouch for me. As soon as I saw the match, because I was like, oh, yeah, Zako, invite me into the call when you get to the tag match. Because I didn't know what the card was. I came in, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's a Tag Team Royal Rumble. Verbatim, my words were, son of a bitch. All right, I'm saying this now. I can't tell you why, but I'm saying this now. They stole my idea. Kind of, sort of. I can't say anything, but son of a bitch.
I will confirm that was exactly what it says. Like, oh, okay, well, something interesting must be coming up.
And I knew it was going to be trios. I knew it was going to be trios, so it was a little different. And it was also people coming out individually, not as teams, because we can't do that. It's not. I wish. Maybe one day.
There was a. I'm not gonna. You know what? I'm not gonna get into it. It was an interesting moment, and then here we are. As soon as I heard about this match, I was like, that's why. Okay.
Oops.
Okay.
What? We're not going to get into talking about AEW stealing things from members of our community?
I mean, to be fair, though, there's no way that they could have known. But again, they did doubles. I did trios, and they weren't constrained by a crappy game.
I mean,
this was the miracle that we pulled this off.
I'm not saying that Citric came before Orange Cassidy, but
yeah.
I still think that team should have been Orange Casualty, but that's always going to be me.
I don't disagree with you. It's a great name.
All right. Well, while we're going on this, anything else about the other cross promotional matches that happened during the show?
So Brawl Kaiser versus Mega, I wanted to do. I pitched it to Kurt. I'm like, look, I know they're both going to love this because I had seen them talk about it before. Like I'd seen Mega be like, hey, if you ever are on Warzone, it'd be amazing. And I've seen people like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the Sentais fought each other? So I didn't agree with Kurt's booking leading into the show about some things. Like we had some disagreements. That's just the way it works sometimes. But he wanted to pull people out of title matches. And so we came up with the excuse of, well, if the brass wants to pull all the contenders, then we can do that, kick the can down the road. And he decided he wanted to switch Fear Strikes to the Nexus Titan, which I didn't know about. And I'm like, well, then the Big Oof is going to be an open challenge. And when it was an open challenge, I'm like, it's going to be Brawl Kaiser. And we'll put him over. It's fine. But like, it's going to be Brawl Kaiser. He's like, all right.
Okay. So got a couple bits. I think the moment passed on one of them, though. It was Graven going. And meanwhile, Graven, and here's where I would have put my Royal Rumble trophy if I was there.
Yeah.
And then Burnout Vaughn, different AEW wrestlers totally haven't used taglines I had planned for promos. No, it's fine. I'm not petty.
Yeah, totally not.
Totally, yeah.
I still have you beat.
Fair. Yeah, really? How?
Well, I told you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my thing.
But yeah, no, the Rumble was planned about 2 weeks before. Like that's when I said we had about 2 weeks to record it, we had decided that this was going to be the idea because Kurt didn't know how to do a trios thing. He was like, hey, how do you do you want Doom to fight Meme for the belts? Like, do you want to do VIP? I'm like, when we decided to make it an event, he was like, yeah, I wish we could have had more teams. I'm like, why don't we just do a 10-team Royal Rumble. He's like, you can do that? He's like, I mean, if we plan it right now, I'll give it a shot. So, yeah, I could do that. He's like, yeah, I'll do that. So, yeah, I did this to myself.
Yeah, no, fair.
Just like the monster match I did to well, I made it harder than it. I could have just made it an 8-man fucking battle royal, but I had to be fucking stupid. The gauntlet match I did to myself.
Right.
I don't know why I do this.
Anybody recording this? Oh wait, we're live. Okay, good.
Yeah, we're still live.
we're and for once this
look,
is
even if I deny it, I still know deep down it's true.
for once this stuff is going to be on the YouTube as well, so don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Probanaga Canid match?
That was literally Kurt went, hey, do you have anybody who's sophisticated that could fight Probunaga? I'm like, I have the aristocratic Canid. He's like, oh, who? I'm like, aristocratic Canid. They're like the super dapper fox creature. It's like, oh, would they fight Probunaga? I'm like, they'd make a name for themselves, sure. All right, cool. Let's do a match.
All right.
There you go. I wish it was more.
You mean it could have been me?
It could have been you. I pitched Canid.
That's okay.
You already had a storyline, and I wanted Canid to have something to do.
Right. No, I totally agree.
Your top hat. Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Anything else about the event you want to cover, or have we kind of
It's not over. I know somebody asked, is there more crossover stuff? Technically, yeah, because there's still the trios title, and I'm sure eventually Warzone will try to challenge for them again. So this is not the end of crossover stuff, but it's the end of like an event of crossover stuff, because this was like a one-time thing. We tried it out. There were some good things, there were some bad things, and we're going to take that information. We're going to move forward with it. But yes, this will not be the end of cross-promotional stuff, but we wanted to just give you a little bit of a taste, introduce both audiences to the other roster, but it's not the end. But it is on pause outside of the obvious trios title.
And I mean, that honestly, looking at it was one of the biggest shows we've seen in a while just for attendees. The two shows do have some very distinct audiences, and they all showed up.
Yep, and it was really cool to see.
So you said you had an announcement about when we're going to see
the trios title match. Yeah, if you guys want to know.
Yeah. If
breakdown.
So
you're going to get a 1-week build tomorrow, and then breakdown. So a week from Sunday, you're going to get your trios title match. It'll be at the pay-per-view, because it just makes sense. Because there was no show because we wanted initially to do it on Warzone's turf, but Kurt's obviously taking a break. So I was like, why don't we just do it at breakdown? And he was like, yeah, that's appropriate, because the trios titles have already been defended at breakdown twice before. So we'll see if the third time's the charm for Doom.
That
rule of threes, man.
Yep.
Fair enough.
So did you say that that breakdown is happening on Easter Sunday, basically?
It is happening on Easter Sunday. I don't have a time for you yet. I'm trying to figure that out, but it's going to be on Easter Sunday because I figure everybody's going to be quarantined. Most people do breakfast with their family. If you have dinner plans, don't worry about it. There's a VOD. My goal is to do it in the mid-afternoon, like sometime like 2 o'clock-ish. And that way it's after what would be brunch for most people, Sunday brunch, but before any potential dinner plans. But if you have stuff to do, by all means, do it with your family. Stay safe, please.
I usually go to science fiction conventions on Easter, so that's...
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing for Easter.
And that's kind of the reason why I want to do it. It's like 4th of July last year. I don't expect a lot of people to be doing a lot of events.
Yeah. All right. So cool. I'm going to switch back to our normal
there you go
screen. And we still got, 15 minutes.
Well, I know Tim had some stuff to say.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Now's a great time to turn the mic over to Tim.
Sure. Nothing major. It's been real quick, but as everybody noticed, I wasn't in today's show. I am taking the rest of this week and potentially next week off. Off from this. I, as some of you know, have taken on some new duties elsewhere, and I would like some time to get ahead of those and also maintain daily life functions. So, I'm going to be around, but I am taking a break from Firing Line just so I don't have quite so many things going on at the same time.
And, with Kurt is he taking just this week off from work?
No, he's taking 2 weeks off.
2 weeks. So you got like 2 weeks where you don't need any footage, so.
Right. So, and it kind of works out with that. But just to give everybody a heads up that, I am not incommunicado, but I'm
also gonna talk to Kurt about having some Warzone guys on breakdown outside of the trios, because I know they're not gonna have a show for 2 weeks, and there were some people that reached out and expressed interest in some stuff. So that might be another chance for you to see some crossover stuff.
Awesome.
So, but I can't promise you anything because I have to have that conversation first. But I feel bad that there was going to be no shows for 2 weeks.
Yeah. On the other hand, I mean, I'm a big advocate of self-care. So.
Yep.
Oh, and Caliban, you had something that I know at least me and you were thinking about doing a Saturday.
Yeah, I was originally thinking this Saturday, but then some things. So either this Saturday or more likely the following Saturday. Tim and I are talking about maybe doing a watch party on Twitch. There's a classic movie we've been wanting to show, The Court Jester with Danny Kaye, because it's the source of the name of our Wednesday night gaming group, the Flag and Dragons. And, it's a comedy.
True that is true.
Yeah. Not a lot of people have seen that movie, and it's a good movie. So we're keep your eyes on this channel, and we may be doing a watch party here in the near future.
And Danny Kaye is hilarious.
I've shown before I like the classics, and I've driven Canada nuts before because the whole Flag and Dragon sequence I've pretty much got memorized. So. Anyway, hey folks, we still have like 12 minutes and we got people here. Are there questions? Anything else?
This is a great time for some questions, or if you, even if they're specific to you, it's okay. I'll answer them.
And obviously we're going to try and figure out what we're going to do to expand out, the back half of the show for the next couple weeks. This is we knew Kurt was thinking about taking some time off. That's why we've been floating. Hey, yes, it's on Prime.
We haven't smoked.
We've been floating
last time I checked, it was.
Yeah, some alternate ideas of things we could do. Joe, if you really want to do Family Feud, you organize that. I'll put it on.
Oh, jeez.
But anyway, we'll figure it out. But
MNW Family Feud. It's the cartel versus House Caliban.
Go, brother.
I think he was thinking Warzone versus Flashbang, but we'll see what happens.
And you see that the mental image that I had is that if you had Joe as the host, it would essentially just be him doing the Will Ferrell, Alex Trebek.
Maybe we can get Patrick Warburton to host the show. I'm just saying it's an option. It's an option.
A bunch of us have been watching
Celebrity
Brothers recently, so that's just okay. I'm going to do that. I've been doing this in the background, but I'm going to say it here. I came up with a new catchphrase about promos.
Okay.
It's the analogy for when you're writing a promo, and it is promos should be like mini skirts. Long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to maintain interest.
Thanks, Colonel Hughes.
Anyway,
appreciate that little nugget of truth.
There you go. Yeah, no,
he's not wrong.
Cryptic, I see you posting in the chat. All I'm going to say is tune in tomorrow.
Yeah, there's
because I did get your message, and I will play what you did. So tune in tomorrow.
See, Zymocyte, you're not helping.
Yeah,
or Daisy Dukes. Yeah,
wear short shorts. I wear short shorts.
One thing, okay, you know what? I am going to advocate one thing right now. If anyone's listening, and I'm going to talk to the promo teachers, guys. We have guidelines in the community for promos, specifically the naming conventions, and some of you have not been following them lately. And I'd like to advocate. It makes our lives easier when we play things. If you follow those, it certainly makes the showrunners' lives easier if you do the right naming conventions. I'm going to be talking with the promo teachers.
I will find you
about and Tim is very adamant about.
Tim has a lot of free time now.
Yeah,
don't test it.
Yeah,
I do
because he will. He will. So yeah, Trying to think what else. I'm trying to think what else we can talk to. Is since I don't seeing a lot of questions. The guys.
So one thing I could talk about, just because it concerns the general community at large, just to give kind of people an update. And I know there's only about 35 of you guys here, but you can kind of pass this along to people if they ask. We understand that during the big event that there were some difficulties, both technical and otherwise. We just want to reassure everybody that those have been addressed. Those have been talked about. All of the appropriate people have been contacted to kind of get a sense of where they are. And moving forward, things are going to be taken care of. One of the reasons why we're not having any war zones for a while is so that Kirk can kind of get a little bit of a breather. So we just want to let anybody know that had a question about, hey, was there anything done about what happened on Saturday? Yes, abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah. Also, Deluna13. Hey, Ed, was at work last week, so couldn't ask. Was it okay for me to do that social media call out?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I would have mentioned something. When is the next town hall meeting? Right now, we're not. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, hopefully not for a while.
Yeah, so we just had one. I'm not sure if you were at that, Vin, but we had one not too long ago. We try to not do them too frequently. Basically, the way town halls work is if there becomes a need where the community has a lot of things that they want to talk about, or the mods are getting a lot of things that they want to bring up to a group, that's typically when we run a town hall. Or if something happens in a moment where like, oh, that has to be addressed with the community, that's typically when we run town halls. Since we just ran one, I wouldn't expect one in the near future. But if there's something specifically on your mind, there are mods in the Discord. By the way, join the Discord, guys. If you're not on there, I'm pretty sure all of you are. But if you're listening on YouTube, join the Discord. Unless this part is getting cut out of the firing line segment.
No,
in which case
I'm keeping this Q&A in. We're not going to cut out until it's shill time.
Absolutely. All right, cool. But yeah, I wasn't. I had work. I believe Zako Duo posted a recap on the Discord, if I'm not mistaken, Tim, about what we talked about in the last town hall.
I believe so. I will double check.
Yeah, so Vin, if you check that out, hopefully somebody, because we had a lot of people bring up questions on other people's behalf. Hopefully, if there was something specific that you wanted talked about, it's in those notes. If not, feel free to reach out to a mod and ask. Unless it's about your character, in which case I suppose I could maybe answer it. But yeah, we try to stay away from that stuff in particular.
I thought Zako did a bullet point. I can follow up with Zako though.
Yeah. Also, for those of you that aren't aware, Carla who's very gracious with all of her bookkeeping, has said that she is contactable for records and questions. So her time and schedule permitting, if you guys want to find out where your wrestler is at in terms of their record. I know she has been following Flashbang for a very, very long time, but she's also, I think she's helped a couple of the Warzone guys, right? With what she's been able to dig up.
She honestly does a pretty even spread between Flashbang and Warzone records. If you go look in the records. So she keeps, honestly, and Tim will back me up on this, putting together Firing Line would be a lot harder if we didn't have her books, because it gives us a chance. Honestly, I scan it every time. Okay, what are the match? What am I actually covering? Not just depending on looking at the VOD. Also, when it's time to decide, okay, what's our audio promo of the week going to be? I always read what she put in, because that helps me go, okay. It also, especially once you're getting further from the show, it's nice to have that just as a reminder of, oh yeah, there was that one. That was, oh yeah, Raphael did one this week. I think that was a good one. I think I'm going to use that one this week.
Carla, I don't know if you saw, but JMP is going to be too shy to ask. So go ahead and just do his record when you get a chance. That'd be great. Yeah. I'd be curious.
Vince Smoke said he did have a question that pertained to his character, if you could answer it.
Yeah, if you want to shoot me a message, I think we've talked before in the Discord. You could shoot me a message. I've talked to Kurt, so I have a feeling I know what you're going to ask. So if I can clarify, I will. But yeah.
And
I'm not shy.
Travis, we are having a Q&A. We are probably going to be wrapping up pretty soon. We've only got about 5 minutes left. But Travis,
we got 5 minutes
there
before
were
we're going to rate somebody, but it's just a good chance to talk with the community, or at least those. This is why you got to stick around till the end, because you never know when this will happen.
Yeah. Actually, a good chunk of the audience did stick around tonight, so
They did. Well, that's because they were like, well, I'm in the main event of Warzone 2.
Yeah, that's true. Well, also, I told
a lot of people were
halfway, so stick around. We're going to tell you things. But
What did you think of the thumbnails? Matrix wants to know.
I'll tell you, the YouTube team loves them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Matrix G has been making thumbnails for the videos that we put up on the MNW YouTube channel, which is great because then it becomes more than just a random screen capture from the early part of the VOD, and instead is something that really speaks to what were the stories on that episode.
Real quick, Travis was asking, will there be any more Battle Royal in the future pay-per-views? I will say one thing in particular, possibly, but know that they are probably going to be few and far between because they are not easy to pull off.
Yeah, so the Rumbles are tough to do. This one was extra hard because we had to deal with all of the normal Rumble problems, but also you guys were on teams. So it had to, we got very, very fortunate that when teammates were in there, they worked as a team. So we worked very hard to make sure that you guys didn't break kayfabe in the ring because the game is stupid. So yes, I was very proud with this Rumble. You will see Rumbles in the future. I can't promise you when the next one will be, but I like I've said before, I have stock Rumbles that I can always pull out of nowhere.
Yeah. The thing to always remember about the Rumbles is it is one of the things in 2K19 that was just breaks all the time. Anything involving AJ Styles and tag finishers.
Yep.
Well,
and for those that are unaware, the actual methodology that has to go into them is literally keep trying, and eventually, if one doesn't break, you might get to use it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it say that they will exist in the future, but they are going to be few and far between because they are some of the most finicky things in that game.
Yeah. With that, we have actually reached time. So it is now. So for the YouTube audience, thank you very much for hanging out. We appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video, hey, why don't you like, subscribe, share, hit that bell, and we'll talk to you later.